Chapter 1198. Generally, cultivators from the vast thousand domains would improve very quickly after entering the great world of Xiandi for the first time. According to Yilan's judgment, Chen Hao, who was abnormally powerful, would be considered a genius in a first-rate academy even when he had just entered the great world of Xiandi. He would only need some time to adapt, and he would have no problem entering a top-notch academy. There was also something that Yilan had not mentioned to Chen Hao, the qualifications to walk the path of the Celestial Emperor. Phew! Xixian shook her head slightly and heaved a long sigh in her heart. This was a world where true geniuses gathered. If she had come tens of millions of years earlier, she might have had a very strong competitive edge. Now, however, perhaps following Chen Hao to a first-rate academy was a mistake. This was not because Xixian felt inferior, but because the gap between them was too big. It was not something that she could catch up to even if she worked hard. In such an environment, apart from the academy's most basic cultivation conditions, it would be difficult for her to even take a step forward. Although I've just entered and there's still a lot of room for improvement, it's still far from enough. I'll think about it after the assessment. After separating from Chen Hao, Xixian finally realized the gap between herself and the disciples of first-rate academies as she faced the contemptuous and mocking gazes and words. She had said that she would not affect Chen Hao, but if she insisted on being with Chen Hao now, there would be a great impact. There was no doubt about that. Although she thought that after leaving Chen Hao, she would be very lonely and lost in this completely unfamiliar world. However, she had to consider this. Moreover, Chen Hao was only in the Daluo Golden Wonderland now. At most, he would have to go to the Hongmeng domain in a few thousand years. They would have to separate in the end. Begin. 5 days after Xixian began the last test, the endurance test, Chen Hao also began. The cultivators who were on standby immediately turned into streams of light and rushed into the enchantment seal. When everyone was in position and in their respective test areas, a majestic and terrifying pressure of Dao Law suddenly burst out, enveloping the entire test space. Qi. In Hongming's sovereign area, which had been going on for 5 days under the space-time laws, the first cultivator let out a horrified scream. He was the first to be eliminated. In the endurance test, once a cultivator lost control of their mind and lost their true self, or if their physical body was about to collapse, they would be ejected from the test area by the power of the spatial laws, ending the test. This was a limit that was set according to the cultivator's essence, spirit, blood, and qi. It was absolutely accurate, and not only could it truly measure the cultivator's tolerance limit, it could also protect the cultivator from harm. It's actually not Qinxi? 5 days later, when the first cultivator was eliminated, many cultivators were already on the verge of elimination. After all, most of the cultivators present were quite close to each other in terms of strength. However, what surprised many cultivators was that it wasn't Xixian. In their estimation, Chen Xi's attack power and speed were trash, so his endurance must be the worst as well. However, after persevering for 5 days, the first person to be eliminated was not Chen Xi. The few experts who were still at ease looked at Xixian from afar with a hint of surprise in their eyes. This was because, at this moment, regardless of whether it was Xixian's physical body or soul, she appeared extremely calm. She did not show any signs of being unable to endure the increasingly heavy and terrifying pressure. Not even the slightest bit of pain appeared on her beautiful face that did not age. Strange. Her attack power and speed are so weak, and her endurance is the best indicator of a cultivator's strength and potential. She's actually so strong? On the 7th day, when more than 3,000 people had been eliminated, everyone was truly surprised by Xixian's calm expression. At this moment, even the cultivators who had shown great strength in the first 2 tests more or less showed a hint of pain, but Xixian was still as calm as ever. Strange, what's going on? Xixian was also puzzled. At this moment, Xixian only felt a little pain, and it didn't affect her foundation at all. However, more than 3,000 people had been eliminated one after another. Moreover, even the genius disciples who had shown great strength in the first 2 tests showed a pained expression at this moment. Clearly, they weren't as relaxed as her. This made Xixian very puzzled. Could it be that her endurance was very strong? Not to mention others who didn't believe it, even Xian herself didn't believe it. Endurance was the double strength of the physical body and soul. It was the most fundamental thing. If one's speed and attack power were weak, one's physical body and soul couldn't be very strong. Naturally, one's endurance wouldn't be strong either. When the pressure marks were on my body, I still felt it, but it weakened instantly. Could it be? Could it be? Xian pondered and suddenly thought of a special existence in the great world in her mind. Mountain of corpses and sea of blood. It was engraved with Chen Hao's highest understanding of the three great immortal sutras and condensed the strongest emotions of countless cultivators on the verge of death. At the same time, when Chen Hao took Chen Shui and the others back after stepping out of the ancient chaos void, he gave Xian an unknown amount of terrifying emotional power to integrate into the mountain of corpses and sea of blood. That emotional power was the god's thought energy that Chen Hao had destroyed and devoured in the ancient chaos void. It's really it. After Xian carefully sensed it, she was shocked to find that the mountain of corpses and sea of blood was actually devouring the pressure of the Tao marks on her body on its own when she opened her mind. The churning blood, the piles of white bones, and the Tao marks of the three great immortal sutras were all operating on their own at this time. Terrifying emotional power filled it, as if it had given birth to its own consciousness, controlling the mountain of corpses and sea of blood to devour the pressure of the Tao marks on her body. How could this be? Could it be? Xian was truly shocked. If this mountain of corpses and sea of blood were to give birth to its own consciousness, wouldn't it be terrifying? Xian immediately thought of the soul of all things, Lu Hui. She definitely didn't think that she and Chen Hao, who had condensed the mountain of corpses and sea of blood, had the ability to give birth to its own consciousness. That was simply impossible. Their cultivation realm was the biggest restriction. However, the soul of all things and the reincarnation of an immortal emperor, Lu Hui didn't have such a restriction. I don't feel anything. While Xian was shocked, on the other side, Chen Hao, who had been testing for 2 days, felt the pressure of the entire test space getting stronger and stronger. It was very boring. At most, he felt that the heaven and earth spirit chi was getting denser and denser. This little bit of pressure really didn't make him feel anything. Passing the immortal sutra sacred land, experiencing thousands of years of experience in the ancient chaos void, and experiencing countless powerful God's thoughts, Chen Hao didn't feel anything at all for the past 2 days. At most, it was the level of scratching an itch. Chapter 1199. Similarly, when Chen Hao's endurance test had been going on for about 5 days, some cultivators began to be eliminated one after another. On the 7th day, almost half of them had been eliminated. On the 8th day, there were only 4 people left: Chen Hao, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian. At this time, Xian's test had been going on for 13 days. In the entire testing space, there were only Xian and another genius who had won first place in the first 2 basic tests. This situation had been going on for a day. The others were all eliminated on the 12th day. By now, many cultivators who had looked down on Xian for having no other advantages other than her beauty had shut up obediently, although they still did not know why Xian's attack power and speed test results were so bad. Although they still did not understand, after all, a strong endurance meant that one's body, soul, state of mind, and will were very strong. Then, one's attack power and speed should not be bad. With Xian's endurance as a top genius, she should not have been so bad in the first 2 tests. On the 13th day, Xian could not hold on any longer and was ejected from the testing space. However, less than a minute after Xian was eliminated, another cultivator who was obviously in pain was also ejected. Obviously, after sensing that Xian was eliminated, this cultivator could not hold on any longer and was ejected from the testing space. This made Xian very happy because although this test was fake, it was only the first few days. When she found out that it was caused by the mountain of corpses and blood sea, she directly sealed the space in her mind and blocked the mountain of corpses and blood sea's active devouring. From then on, it was her own test. However, she had held on until now. She was second only to the strongest cultivator, who had obviously reached his limit as well. Without a doubt, this gave Xian a lot of confidence. She was not bad. It was just that she needed some time to uncover her real potential that she had not been able to use. It's been 13 days, she can really hold on. Ao Qian gritted his teeth and glanced at Chen Hao, Ling Feng and Xuefian. Since the 11th day, only the 4 of them were left. Now, it had been 13 days, and none of them had been eliminated. What made Ao Qian even more anxious was that Brother Fatty, Ling Feng, and Xuefian seemed to be very calm. Under the increasingly terrifying coercion and Dao laws, the 3 of them did not show any signs of pain. This was too freakish. One had to know that under normal circumstances, 13 days was the limit of all previous testers. After all, as long as others couldn't hold on, those geniuses who could still hold on wouldn't be able to hold on either. But this time, the 4 of them were actually evenly matched. Motherfucker, I'm afraid I can't take it anymore. Under the terrifying pressure of the Dao mark, Ao Qian felt that he was about to collapse. His mind was not functioning properly. This feeling was clearly on the verge of collapse. At this point, unless he released the sealed bloodline origin power, the first one to be eliminated would be him. There's still hope. It's better not to expose it now. After all, this is only the basic test, and it only accounts for 30% of the total score. Buzz. When this thought appeared, Ao Qian's consciousness suddenly blurred, and he was immediately ejected out of the testing area uncontrollably. Amazing. Ao Qian is amazing. 13 days and 7 hours. As far as I know, this is almost the result of the first place in the comprehension test of the University of Dehua. The moment Ao Qian was ejected, a few people from the Carnage Battle team quickly went to Ao Qian's side and praised him sincerely. Damn, Brother Fatty is still the best. Brother Fatty really hides his strength. He's too pretentious. His potential value is less than 1,000, but he's stronger than me in every aspect. Ao Qian said in a conflicted manner. This was the truth. Unless he exposed everything, he really couldn't compare to Fatty, who was a pretentious person. Very strong, very strong. With you and Brother Fatty, our Carnage Battle team will definitely be famous in the University of Dehua and even first-rate schools. Brother Ao, do you think Brother Fatty can get first place this time? I think Brother Fatty's expression is the most relaxed. It's hard to say. Ling Feng looks very pretentious. I can faintly feel that he's hiding his strength very deeply. Xuefian is the direct prodigy of the University of Dehua. As for who she is, it's hard to guess. Look at the 3 of them, which one of them isn't calm? Damn it. I'll show you how strong I am in the ranking competition. Ao Qian said as he clenched his fists. His fighting spirit was rising. This fatty really knows how to act. I can't hold on any longer. How can he be stronger than me? Xuefian is getting more and more difficult to understand. Damn it. Ling Feng, who was sitting cross-legged, still had a faint smile on his face. However, traces of blood had begun to seep out of his pores. It was obvious that his physical body was about to reach its limit. However, his tyrannical soul, state of mind, and willpower were still agile. At this moment, Fatty's face also had traces of blood. However, his eyes were agile and he was extremely relaxed. From time to time, he would glance at Ling Feng and Xuefian. The only one who didn't change was Xuefian. She had disguised her appearance and aura. Until now, she hadn't even revealed her true body. Only the runes were becoming brighter and brighter. Her physical body had become an artifact. Moreover, it was an inheritance rune. Undoubtedly, it was extremely terrifying. Chen Hao and Ling Feng were both clear about this. Damn it. Am I going to lose to the 2 of them? Ling Feng felt more and more depressed as he sensed Chen Hao and Xuefian's aura. His soul, state of mind, and willpower were all fine. The only problem was that his physical body was about to collapse. He had never thought of this before. After all, he had cultivated the great change art to its ultimate state. However, although Fatty was also bleeding, he seemed to be in a better state. As for Xuefian, who had become an artifact with her physical body, Ling Feng didn't know how to judge. However, at this moment, Xuefian, who was extremely calm and had not shown any signs of pain from the beginning until now, was directly ejected from the test space without any warning. This made Ling Feng and Chen Hao slightly stunned. Ah! The other cultivators also exclaimed in confusion. Could it be that her soul can't take it anymore? Her control is too strong. Until the end, her expression didn't change at all. Chen Hao couldn't help but exclaim. But, damn it! Buzz. While Ling Feng was shocked by Xue Fian, he accidentally lost control of his physical body and primordial qi. Terrifying Dao mark pressure directly invaded his internal organs. At this moment, Ling Feng cursed out loud. Ha! You let me win, you let me win. However, Chen Hao stood up and laughed. With a twist of his fat butt, he flew out of the testing space. Chapter 1200. Brother Fatty, you shouldn't have come out. As soon as Chen Hao stepped out of the testing space, several members of the Carnage Battle team spoke to him telepathically. I'm already in first place. What's the point of staying in there? Chen Hao said nonchalantly. Brother Fatty, it's no use. The real deciding factor is your test results. The ranking is useless. Ranking is useless? The higher the ranking, the better the overall score. However, the real deciding factor is the attack power, speed, and endurance. The score is calculated according to the ratio of 30, 30, and 40. The final score of the 3 basic tests is based on the Daluo Golden Wonderland's basic tests. For example, if the attack power and speed are both 10,000 points, 30 points is the full score. Our score is based on the ratio of attack power, speed, and 10,000 points. The endurance score is 40 points, and we have to endure for 20 days. Damn. I understand now. Before Su Tao could finish his explanation, Chen Hao interrupted him speechlessly. He didn't even think about how the final score of the basic tests was calculated. He thought that the final score would be determined according to the rankings of the 3 tests and their actual combat power. He didn't expect that it would be related to the test records of the great world of Xiandi. Xue Fian is definitely in first place in the basic tests. Chen Hao thought to himself. Xue Fian was ahead of him in terms of attack power, but the difference in speed was negligible. Similarly, there was no difference in endurance. Both of them finished within a minute, so there was no difference at all. The only difference was the ranking. The results in just 2 minutes proved Chen Hao's prediction. First place, Xue Fian 59. 1 points, attack power, 20. 5, speed 12. 0, endurance, 26. 6, second place, Chen Hao 56. 2 points, attack power, 17. 6, speed 12. 0, endurance, 26. 6, third place, Ling Feng 51. 0 points, attack power, 12. 0, speed 12. 4, endurance, 26. 6, fourth place, Ao Chen 50. 4 points, attack power, 12. 4, speed, 11. 4, endurance, 26. 6, the gap between Xue Fian's attack power allowed her to take the first place. It couldn't be helped. Chen Hao's ranking was higher than Xue Fian's in both speed and endurance. However, the difference in the number of star cores lit up in the speed test was only 0.003 points, so the difference was negligible. As for endurance, including Ao Chen, the 4 of them didn't exceed 10 minutes. It was also a difference that couldn't be reflected by the decimal point. Chen Hao was as fast as Xue Fian. Chen Hao's loss was due to his lack of attack power. Even though Chen Hao's attack power had been wronged, on a scale of 100 he can't even get 60 points. That's too weak. Looking at the final results, Chen Hao said with a pained expression. Fatty, this result is already one of the best in the top schools, not to mention the Dahua school. Those who can get 70 points and above are definitely geniuses in the top schools. Those who can get 80 points and above in the great world of Xiandi are definitely less than 10,000 people in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Those who can get 90 points and above are almost extinct. It's said that there hasn't been a single person who can get full marks since ancient times. It's that hard? Then why set such a high standard? This score is too shocking. Hearing Su Tao's words, Chen Hao said, Brother Fatty, If you understand the rules, then it's definitely over 60 points. You can increase your attack power by 4 points. Brother Fatty, how long can you last in the endurance test? Ao Qian couldn't help but ask. It's hard to say. When I came out, I was almost there. At most, I could last this long. Chen Hao looked at Ao Qian and narrowed his eyes. There was a proud smile on his fat face. He stretched out 3 fingers, then 5. 3 to 5 hours? Ao Qian asked. Fatty shook his head. 3 to 5 hours? Fatty shook his head again. 3 to 5 minutes. Brother Fatty, between us brothers, who doesn't know that you're hiding your strength? Moreover, looking at how relaxed you were, how could you only last for 3 to 5 minutes? Hearing Ao Qian's words, Chen Hao was stunned. Fuck, this IQ, I said 3 to 5 days, that's already very conservative. I don't dare to say anything else, but in terms of endurance, I can definitely last until 20 days. After all, I haven't felt anything from the test till now. Did I say 3 to 5 minutes? God, 3 to 5 days. Fatty stretched out his 5 fingers and looked at Ao Qian with disdain. Ha! Enough, Brother Fatty, you can't brag like that. We've already tested for 13 days. Not to mention 5 days, even 3 days is more than 16 days. Even the top geniuses in top schools wouldn't be able to do this. Don't think about hurting my confidence. Brother Fatty, don't mind the following ranking. I'll definitely beat you. Ha! Fuck! Chen Hao couldn't be bothered to say more. Not to mention Ao Qian, it seemed like the Carnage Blood and the others had the same thought. If he spoke the truth, no one would believe him. Once again, Chen Hao was shocked. What also made Chen Hao realize was that the so-called ranking competition wasn't the most direct confrontation between cultivators, but a test. In fact, it wasn't any different from the 3 basic tests. It was just a test of real combat strength. The test method was very simple. It was to enter the combat strength testing tower. Once a cultivator entered, all of their aura would be simulated and they would enter a realistic illusion. The so-called realistic illusion was a simulated environment that was completely similar to the outside world. It was similar to the fairyland space that the captain of the Carnage Blood battle team mentioned previously. However, it was simplified and used specifically to test one's combat strength. There are a total of 10 stages. In each stage, there will be 1,000 simulated cultivators with similar strength but different abilities and specialties. Killing one will give you 1 point. After killing all of them, you'll enter the next stage. Alright, the order of the test will start from the last in the basic test. Teacher Gu Chan quickly announced the start of the test. There is a 9-point difference in the basic test. The basic test accounts for 30% of the total score, which is equivalent to a difference of 7 points. The combat strength test accounts for 40% of the total score. In other words, I have to surpass 7 points in order to catch up with Xuefian. 7 points is equivalent to 700 simulated cultivators. I have to kill at least 700 more simulated cultivators than Xuefian to catch up. Damn, this is a little too big. First place, damn it, I might explode. Ao Qian's mind spun rapidly as he calculated the difference between himself and Xuefian, who was temporarily first. No matter how high one's potential value was, it wasn't calculated. After all, there were direct disciples with 1,000 points as well as cultivators who weren't satisfied with their potential value and wanted to retake the test. Therefore, the temporary ranking was only based on the results of the basic test. However, although Xuefian was first and gave Ao Qian a lot of pressure, the real first place was Fatty. The combat strength test was probably even higher. If Ao Qian didn't expose his bloodline aura, his chances of winning were very small. At the same time, Ling Feng also calculated the difference between him and Xuefian. He had to kill more than 600 simulated cultivators to catch up. Similarly, Fatty's threat was no less than Xuefian's. Chapter 12:01. When the first cultivator started the assessment, an image of the cultivator in the illusory reality appeared on the combat power tower. The entire battle process was clearly displayed before everyone's eyes. Unfortunately, he was eliminated by the simulated cultivator as soon as he stepped into the second stage. After that, hundreds of people remained at the second stage. At most, they killed 100 or so simulated cultivators before being eliminated. Their score was only a little more than 1,000 points. Although there were occasional anomalies, most of the combat power assessment points were directly proportional to the basic test results. The simulated cultivators in the second stage are twice as strong as those in the first stage. The simulated cultivators in the third stage are twice as strong as those in the second stage, and so on. This method of enhancement is very abnormal. Those who can enter the third stage in a first-rate academy are very strong, even if they don't get a single point in the third stage. The second stage is basically the limit of most of the cultivators in first-rate academies. Very few can enter the third stage, and only a handful can enter the fourth stage. Due to Fatty's ignorance of the great world of Xianxia, the members of the Carnage Battle team had become Chen Hao's instructor. Fatty bro, take a look. Although the strength of the 1,000 simulated cultivators in each stage is about the same, there is a huge difference in the attacking methods and other aspects that they specialize in. This can be ignored if your absolute strength is strong enough. But when the strength is about the same, you have to play to your strengths and avoid your weaknesses. Recognize your own advantages and kill the simulated cultivators that you can counter first. This way you can kill a lot more. Look, this simulated cultivator had no problem in the first stage. For the second stage, he specifically chose the area where the simulated cultivators were slow and had strong attacks. This is because his speed is his advantage. He can handle it with ease. Yes, I understand. Chen Hao naturally had to acknowledge his enthusiastic teammates. However, he could understand their long-winded analysis even if he used his butt to think. The combat power assessment has also started for the newcomers. The Great Luo Golden Immortal Realm and Grand Mist Supremacy Realm cultivators in front of the Great Luo Golden Immortal Realm and Grand Mist Supremacy Realm ranking pagoda steels exclaimed when they saw the new names appear. In the decennial rookie assessment, once a rookie completed the combat strength test and reached a basic value of 1,000, their name would appear on the ranking board. However, most of them were at the bottom of the rankings because the rankings were based on overall strength. The overall strength ranking consisted of 3 factors: combat power, potential, and contribution. The results of the 3 basic tests were not included. Combat power was basically a reflection of the 3 basic tests. At this moment, other than the combat strength value, the newcomer's potential value was still in a pending state, and his contribution value was 0. I heard that there are 2 experts in this year's Daluo Golden Wonderland. One of them is called Ling Feng, and his exposed potential value is around 2,300. He is definitely qualified to enter a top academy, and this is before he came to Dehua Academy. There's also one who defeated Wan Yishui in the arena. It can't be? Wan Yishui is one of the top experts in our Daluo Golden Wonderland. What do you mean by 300? Look again. He had actually reached 213? I clearly remember that it was more than 300. Previously, it was indeed more than 300. To be precise, it was 324. But the day before yesterday, Wan Yishui returned from his training, turned in the mission, and retested his combat strength. Look, just his combat strength increased by more than 800 points. With the increase in his contribution value, he directly rose by more than 100 ranks. Such rapid improvement is the result of his crazy hard work after being defeated by a newcomer. Who defeated him? It's indeed a very embarrassing thing. A fatty called Li Yuan. Just wait and see. Wan Yishui returned at this time, naturally to get back at him. He Ming, who chased Wan Yishui for more than 3,000 years without success, said that he would wait for Fatty Li Yuan to come out and challenge him to help Wan Yishui vent her anger. It said that Fatty Li Yuan was rather wretched and didn't rely on his real combat strength to rise to Wan Yishui's rank. Furthermore, he even took liberties. But, HM? The cultivator who was speaking saw his companion winking at him and asked in confusion. But just as he said the word, he suddenly turned his head to the right. Cough, cough. Not far away, Wan Yishui sat cross-legged, his eyes cold. Beside Wan Yishui were He Ming and other members of the same team. He Ming, I'm not someone who's looking for trouble. I'm definitely forced to challenge him. A figure beside He Ming said directly. You want to die? The ashen-faced He Ming finally raised his hand and pointed at the cultivator who was talking about him and Wan Yishui, roaring. Many of the cultivators who were also talking immediately shut their mouths. There was never a lack of cultivators at the ranking pagoda. Under normal circumstances, cultivators who had just completed a mission would come here. There were also cultivators who had retested their combat strength or potential value, and specially came here to see the change in their ranking. And now, during the once-in-a-decade newcomer assessment, there were also many cultivators who specially came to see the situation of the newcomers. They were looking for Dao companions, battle team members, and so on. Wan Yishui and He Ming were obviously here to see the situation of the newcomer assessment, or it could be said that they were waiting for the fatty to come out. Cough cough. Sorry, I've only heard rumors. Brother He, I'm sorry, scram. Goodbye. The person who spoke hurriedly left in a sorry state. Although in the academy, He Ming didn't dare to do anything to him and couldn't do anything to him, he didn't dare to offend an expert like He Ming. There were many ways to mess with him. Yishui, you heard it too. Even if you can easily bully that damn fatty, you'll still get yourself into trouble. Why don't you let me help you vent your anger? After seeing the other person leave dejectedly, He Ming couldn't flare up. He turned to look at Wan Yishui, who was sitting cross-legged, and transmitted his voice. He Ming, I said that you don't need to care about my matters. That damn fatty, I'll definitely teach him a lesson with my own hands. Wan Yishui frowned and said, also, He Ming, I won't be renewing my contract with the Battle Team and Big Words Academy. After the Millennium Academy ranking competition, I'll leave. I know. Me too. When the time comes, let's go to the Hongming region together. He Ming, why don't you understand what I mean? Do you have to say it directly? You don't have to say it, I understand. But isn't it too early to say it now? You didn't accept me before, nor did you reject me. Are you sure that I won't be as good as you in the future? I think it's too early. When the time comes, we'll enter the Hongming region together and make a decision after we come out. After all, whether it's me or our battle team, we've been together for so long. When we enter the Hongming region, there are no laws to protect us. How can we do it without a partner? What do you think? Don't worry, I won't force you. We'll be friends for the time being, just like the others, He Ming said. Wan Yishui looked at He Ming and finally nodded. This batch of cultivators is very strong. So strong. There are still 400 people, and their combat power is close to 2,000. How can we not know the experts? As a whole, they're definitely the strongest batch in tens of thousands of years. Chapter 1202. Based on what we know, the expert is at least comparable to Wan Yishui. That's true. It's said that Li Yuan, who defeated Wan Yishui, was specially recruited by the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion. His soul and state of mind are very strong, and he cultivated the great teleportation technique to the peak of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. He completely relied on his speed and state of mind to exhaust Wan Yishui to death, not his battle strength. That's what the rumors say. However, if an expert like Wan Yishui could be controlled by him and exhaust his energy, would he be as simple as he seems? That's true. Let's see, the results will be out soon. We only need to look at Li Yuan's battle strength and his ranking among the newcomers to know the situation of this batch. Following the progress of Chen Hao and the others' battle strength test, the cultivators in front of the Daluo Golden Wonderland's ranking tower in the plaza outside the University of Dawa's testing center couldn't help but buzz in discussion. When there were only 400 cultivators left, the battle strength of the testers was already close to 2,000 points. This also meant that the next 400 people would all be existences with more than 2,000 points. After all, everyone knew that the order of the test was based on the results of the basic test from the weakest to the strongest. 400 existences with a battle strength of more than 2,000 points. In terms of overall quality, this batch was definitely a batch that Dahua Academy had not seen in 10,000 years. If a few more top experts appeared, it would be even more shocking. 1994. 2003, 1999, 2014, 2011, 2021, 2025. The difference in the laws of space and time caused a newcomer's name to appear on the ranking tower outside the testing center in a few seconds. As everyone expected, the battle strength of the testers quickly exceeded 2,000 points. Although there were fluctuations, the overall battle strength was still slowly increasing. Moreover, when it increased to around 2,100 points, it didn't increase much anymore. It hovered around this level. This situation was also within everyone's expectations. The further a cultivator went, the harder it was to increase their battle strength. Moreover, it would get closer and closer to a benchmark. The overall situation of steadily increasing was basically impossible. This was because 2,100 points was definitely the limit of the upper standard in a first-rate academy. If it didn't fluctuate by a few points, then it would be a top genius who broke through this threshold, directly surpassing a few hundred points to 3,000 points or even 4,000 points. It was extremely rare for someone to have a combat power value of over 4,000 points in a first-rate academy. It was hard to come across one in a million years or even 10 million years. 2152, 2139. 2,841. Seventh from the bottom, direct disciple. Experts are here, 7 of them. Ling Feng and Li Yuan haven't appeared yet. Li Yuan is really strong. When one of the 4 direct descendant geniuses finished his test, his name, battle prowess, and background appeared on the ranking pagoda in the outside world, causing a commotion. This also allowed everyone to determine the number of top experts in this batch of testers. Direct descendant disciples would appear in every batch of admission tests. More than 10 of them had appeared in the previous tests, but it was only now that a true genius with an interception mission had appeared. Unfortunately, this person clearly failed to stop the famous Ling Feng and Li Yuan. The information about the direct descendants was unlike Chen Hao, Ling Feng, and the others, who had gone through the arena battles and had long since spread the news. They had only entered when the test had begun. The cultivators outside only knew that the 4 direct descendant geniuses had appeared and the total number of people who had taken the test. Moreover, Li Yuan's name hadn't appeared yet, which was enough to explain one thing. In the foundation test, Li Yuan's results were in the top 6. How could his battle prowess be weak? The foundation test was the same as the college entrance exam results. The most taboo was a crippled examinee. If a crippled examinee was held back, the consequences would be very serious. Damn fatty! Wan Yishui clenched her teeth and took a deep breath as she thought to herself. She wasn't surprised that the fatty had entered the top 6 in the foundation test. Wan Yishui wasn't surprised at all by this result. To be more precise, when she had just finished her battle with Chen Hao, she was already very clear about it. Others didn't know, but she knew that during the arena battle, the wretched and shameless fatty was only playing with her. In the voice transmission, he had sung, "Find some free time, find some time, let this Lord Fatty play with you." Those extremely teasing, wretched, and shameless words. This Lord Fatty's first pleasure in life is to play with little sisters like you, rolling around the sheets and whatnot. The first style of the chain divine technique, but divine technique. With a push of my butt, I can sit on all the beauties in the world. The second style, golden spear does not fall. With a thrust of my spear, I can gallop through thousands of valleys and caves. Even now, Wan Yishui still remembered it clearly. At that time, Chen Hao dared to use the voice transmission to tease her. In addition, when he used the but divine technique to press down, it carried a terrifying power and imposing manner. How could she, who had deeply felt it, not know that Chen Hao had played her and won over her? No matter how strong you are, this time, I will definitely let you, this damn fatty, know the consequences of teasing me. Wan Yishui clenched her fists tightly. Her fine black hair fluttered imperceptibly for a moment, and an extremely profound fluctuation flashed and disappeared in an instant. Azure Silk Jade Ripple Technique. The improvement of the Azure Silk Jade Ripple Technique was her true improvement. It's actually not there yet? I want to see how much it is. When He Ming saw that the name that appeared again was still not Fatty Li Yuan, his brows furrowed and formed a Chuan character as he thought to himself. 2989. A few seconds later, the sixth from the back, and it was still a direct descendant disciple's battle power value appeared. Unfortunately, it still couldn't break through the 3,000 limit. Damn Fatty, it's your turn, right? Almost 3,000 points. That year when I first took the assessment, I had a high score of 3,123 points. That batch's second place, with a slight difference in total points, lost to the direct descendant disciple. He Ming thought to himself, to be able to surpass my preliminary assessment results, you have the ability. 3,000 points was a checkpoint. This was something that He Ming was very clear about. 3,123 points seemed to be a little more than 2,900 points, but the difference was like a natural chasm. Voila, and fuck. But just as He Ming was secretly competing with Chen Hao, a sudden clamor came from the surroundings, attracting He Ming's gaze. When he saw the female cultivator who caused such a huge commotion, He Ming's pupils suddenly shrank. Beautiful, an unrivaled beauty. Purely in terms of figure, appearance, and temperament, this was definitely the most beautiful woman that He Ming had ever seen. Even if one's heart already belonged to someone, seeing such an unrivaled beauty, which normal man would not be moved? What an old aura. What a pity. Strange. She doesn't look old? A newcomer from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, why are you here to look? The person who came was none other than Si Xian. The Grand Mist Supremacy realm's assessment had just ended, and all the cultivators walked out of the assessment square, but almost everyone walked towards the Grand Mist Supremacy realm's ranking pagoda. However, Si Xian went directly to the Daluo Golden Wonderland's pagoda with a hint of nervousness and anticipation. Her eyes were shining brightly as she quickly scanned the names one by one. Chapter 1203. Every newcomer's name could be seen at a glance. Their contribution points were temporarily 0. Their potential points would only be shown after the assessment if they did not need to be retested. If they were to be retested, the retest results would be used as reference. At this time, the cultivators from the Daluo Golden Wonderland had not completed all the tests. Looking at the names one by one, including the name that had just appeared, Si Xian could not find Li Yuan's name. Coupled with the discussions of the cultivators around her, Si Xian's heart trembled slightly. Although she already knew that Chen Hao's results would not be bad, it was already out of Si Xian's expectations that he would not be able to reach the last few places. After all, Chen Hao had just arrived at the great world of Xiandi. He had not passed through the growth period of his strength. Secondly, Chen Hao was only in his original body. He still had a few more lives that were crazier than the previous one. The geniuses who appeared in the 6th and 5th place had a combat power of around 2,800. However, when it was Ao Qian's turn to appear in the 4th place from the bottom, he broke the 3,000 mark and caused a commotion among the crowd. 3386. He had exceeded the 3,000 mark by 3,386 points. Such a result would definitely be the first place in countless batches of tests. However, this time, it was highly likely that there were 3 more geniuses who were stronger than him. Among the 3, Ling Feng and Li Yuan were confirmed. Moreover, they were not from the direct line of descent. Who would appear in the 3rd place from the bottom? Ling Feng and Li Yuan are confirmed. The last one must be the king of the direct line of descent. He should be the last one to appear. It is not easy for a non-direct line of descent to obtain the first place. It is rare for one to appear in 10 batches or even 100 batches. Yes, this is normal. The direct line of descent was nurtured from a young age by the Academy with countless resources and efforts. Moreover, as long as the Academy does not let them go, they will never betray the Academy. No matter how strong they are still disciples of the Academy. However, we are different. The truly powerful geniuses have no problem entering a top academy. Most of them would naturally choose to enter a top academy. With Ao Qian's combat power and possibly even stronger Ling Feng and Li Yuan, no matter which one of them goes to a top academy, they would be the best of the best. They came to the academy for the treatment of the top geniuses. Fuck, that's all I got? 3386. Without exposing my bloodline's origin power, I've already exceeded my usual level. Ao Qian shook his head as he returned to Fatty and the Carnage Squad. He was quite satisfied with his results. At this point, even he knew that the gap between the unfathomable Fatty and Xuefian was too big. Even if he completely exposed himself, he might not be able to get first place. Since he couldn't be sure, it would be unwise to expose himself. After all, if he lost to Fatty and the others like this, he would at least have an excuse, right? It would be too shameful if they were to lose after exposing everything. Although the results of the test were already something to be proud of, to the proud tribesmen, the results were not the most important thing. The most important thing was that they did not lose to others. What are you looking at? 3386. That's not a bad result, but it's a pity that it's not as good as me. When Ao Qian looked at Ling Feng frowned and said proudly, "To." As he spoke, he turned into a stream of light and flew toward the combat strength testing tower. Vulgar. The test results are just a bunch of meaningless numbers. It's like floating clouds to me. Ao Qian curled his lips and said disdainfully, "You'll understand how powerful I am in the future." Fatty, what do you think he'll get? Ao Qian, who couldn't help but turn around and ask Chen Hao, "Fatty, what do you think he'll get?" The results will be out soon. What's there to guess? Chen Hao's fat face was extremely calm. Chen Hao was a little surprised that Ao Qian didn't reveal his true strength in the end. After all, in the great world of Xiandi, although Ao Qian's bloodline inheritance was powerful and rare, it belonged to the category of normal cultivators. It was also protected by the laws of the great world of Xiandi. Even if it was exposed, it was nothing. But this guy, who was obviously as showy as Ling Feng, actually held back. However, although Chen Hao said so, he was actually very curious about Ling Feng's true combat strength. The Great Change technique, the special ability of the eye, and it was almost certainly related to the Lord of Ling Feng. How could he not have any trump cards? It had to be said that unless it was a real life and death battle, Chen Hao wouldn't dare to say that he could win against Ling Feng. Chi. Boom boom boom. In the combat strength testing tower, Ling Feng's aura exploded like a flash flood. His special ability was endless. One by one, the simulated cultivators fell into a pool of blood. He, who was slightly behind Xuefian and Chen Hao, had to show his true strength if he wanted to get first place. After all, he was the first to appear. There was no way to judge and he didn't dare to hold back. Ao Qian already had 3,386 points. Even if Xuefian and Fatty were at this level, he would have to get more than 4,000 points to catch up. Of course, this was without considering their potential value. Fourth level. Stepping into the fourth level of the combat strength testing tower meant that his score had broken through the 3,000 mark. He was at least the second person to break through the 3,000 mark other than Ao Qian. The final score would depend on how many simulated cultivators Ling Feng could kill. At this time, as time passed, all the cultivators couldn't help but become nervous. They stared at the images that appeared on the combat strength testing tower and began to silently count the number of simulated cultivators Ling Feng had killed. Damn it, he surpassed me. Not long after, Ao Qian said to himself gloomily. I hid my strength well, but so did this guy. Damn it, the top genius of a first-rate academy is much more powerful than I thought. It looks like even if I expose all my strength, I might not be able to win against this guy. 3,413. 3,672. While Ao Qian was sighing, the number of simulated cultivators Ling Feng had killed was still soaring. Although the speed had begun to slow down, he was still at ease. His exquisite combat skills and the perfect nomological attributes of his divine ability allowed him to unleash his full potential. Everyone was amazed by his performance. Coupled with its high-end, high-class, low-key, luxurious exterior image, many girls were dazzled by it and screamed repeatedly. Fatty couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. Vulgar, everyone in the Milky Way is vulgar. They judge a book by its cover. Didn't Monkey kill valiantly and coquettishly just now? Why didn't the girls scream in excitement? 5th level. Damn, he's too strong. He actually killed his way to the 5th level. Other than Chen Hao and the calm Xue Fian who didn't reveal any emotions, even Ao Qian was shocked, let alone the other cultivators. Chapter 1204. When Ling Feng stepped into the 5th level, his combat power exceeded 4,000. His life force is about the same as mine, but his combat skills and mystique usage are not lagging behind. Ao Qian was shocked. It was within Ao Qian's expectations that Ling Feng's combat power would surpass his. However, Ao Qian did not expect Ling Feng's combat power to surpass 4,000. Even if he exposed his bloodline origin power, it would be a problem for him to surpass 4,000. At this level, the test was not as simple as attack power, speed, and endurance. After all, their results were about the same. Now that Ling Feng's combat power had exceeded his combat skills and mystique were naturally stronger. This was something that required time and countless battles to hone. Over 4,000 points. This is an existence that is hard to come by in a million years in any first-rate academy. Very good, very good. If this Ling Feng can sign a long-term agreement, he will definitely receive the best treatment from Dehua Academy. Teacher Gu Chan was truly excited. A combat power of more than 4,000 was an existence that was hard to come by in a first-class academy in a million or even 10 million years. Even in a top-class academy, it was still very rare. Who would not be shocked? Moreover, whether Xue Fian could successfully stop him or not, Gu Chan would not have any responsibility. A genius with a combat power of over 4,000 had nothing to do with Kai Cha Mao. Even if they sent out their strongest direct disciple, they would not be able to stop him. Who could be blamed? Tremble, scream, girls. I'm going all out today. I will not lose to a fatty and a girl. Boom, boom. Ling Feng had already pushed himself to the limit. As the first to go out, he could only unleash his full strength. Even so, Ling Feng did not know if he could win the final battle. Ao Qian was already fine. Although Ling Feng felt that Ao Qian's strength was not limited to what he had shown, it did not matter. He could not compete with him for first place. However, the fatty and Xue Fian were going out after him, and Ling Feng could not see through them. If he held back a little, he might lose to them. That was not what he wanted. Therefore, he could only unleash his full strength. 4458. When Ling Feng was ejected from the combat power testing tower, his dazzling combat power was fixed at 4458. Loud cheers spontaneously erupted from the crowd, but outside the examination palace, there were gasps of surprise in front of the ranking pagoda. 4458. A first-rate academy might not have such an opportunity in a million years or even 10 million years. Everyone was shocked by Ling Feng's combat power that had just appeared. What was even more shocking was that Ling Feng wasn't the last person to take the test. There were two other people with even better results after him. With Ao Qian at the front and Ling Feng at the back, this batch was already destined to be a very powerful batch. If Fatty Li Yuan and the other mysterious genius were as strong as Ling Feng, this batch would definitely be the strongest batch of geniuses in the past few hundred years of Dehua Academy. The last two. Could it be that this damned fatty is stronger than Ling Feng? Wan Yishui couldn't remain calm anymore. Ling Feng's battle prowess was through the roof, and fatty was still behind Ling Feng. Would he be even stronger? He Ming's face turned a little green. 4,458. Let alone during the preliminary examination, he couldn't even reach that score now. Even though this was Ling Feng's result, and it was unlikely for the fatty to reach that score, but since he was able to surpass Ling Feng in the 3 basic tests and appeared after him, then even if there was a difference, it shouldn't be too big. It seemed like he could easily surpass him. How could this batch be so heaven-defying? What would Fatty's result be? Si Xian became even more nervous than when she was taking the test herself. Towards Chen Hao, she was already used to calling him Fatty. Although she knew that it was a disguise, she still felt more comfortable and natural. When Ling Feng was ejected, he looked down from above and stroked his bangs in front of his forehead. He looked at Fatty provocatively and said, "Fatty, how is my result?" This was a blatant provocation. What a show-off. You're so strong, does your master know? Fatty swung his fat butt and directly flew into the sky. When he flew towards the combat strength testing tower and brushed past Ling Feng, he suddenly said to Ling Feng. Chen Hao's words almost made Ling Feng fall down. He directly froze in the air and opened his eyes wide. He looked at the seemingly harmless Fatty who was smiling at him. Always being imitated, never being surpassed. This is Master Fatty. Watch carefully. After Fatty finished his words, he directly flew into the combat strength testing tower, leaving Ling Feng, who was still shocked and in a daze. 4,458 points. This kid is really strong. If I don't use my trump card, I'm afraid I won't be able to beat him. The moment he stepped into the combat strength testing tower, Fatty's eyes shone with an incomparably sharp light. In front of him was Ling Feng. Behind him was the secretive Xue Fian. Moreover, Chen Hao's foundation test was almost 3 points lower than Xue Fian. It could be said that there was a wolf in front and a tiger behind. If he was not careful, Chen Hao's first place might fly away. Losing is not scary, but before I really lose, I can't lose. Fight. Feeling the divine light and the profoundness of the endless runes covering his body, Chen Hao suddenly released his strongest aura. Buzz. After a full 10 seconds, there was a boom in Chen Hao's mind. His mind's incarnation had directly entered the testing tower of the reality illusion. This feeling was similar to Yi Lan's second world, but it was more realistic. The comprehension of the laws of the divine ability, the aura of the physical body, the strength of the soul, the state of mind, etc. were all completely the same. If he did not know that this was a test, he would not have known that he had entered the illusory reality. At this moment, the most detailed information about the Overlord Spear and the profoundness of the runes appeared in Chen Hao's mind. The moment this thought was formed, the Overlord Spear, which was comparable to reality, appeared in Chen Hao's hands. Magical. Even Chen Hao could not help but sigh at the magical power of the illusory reality. Magic treasure, divine weapon? As long as one had comprehended it, used it, or simply imagined it in one's mind, as long as the runes, materials, and the profoundness of the laws of the divine ability could stand up to scrutiny and could be refined in reality, a thought would be able to be born and become one's weapon. The only prerequisite was that one's thought could really be achieved in reality. Come. Just as Fatty held the Overlord Spear, the figures of simulated cultivators suddenly appeared from every corner of the first floor. There were a total of 1,000 of them. Die. The spear radiance bloomed and an endless killing aura spread. Fatty's fat body did not move at all. He just stood there and started killing. Obviously, the strength of the simulated cultivators on the first floor was not enough for Fatty to choose the weak ones to kill first. Chapter 1205. However, in the assessment palace, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, the Carnage Battle team, Teacher Gu Chan, and all the other cultivators who could see Chen Hao's battle in the real illusion were shocked. The Fatty, who seemed to have a smile on his face the whole time, suddenly became serious. Especially when he suddenly released a murderous aura, it shocked everyone. How was this still the harmless Fatty? Cold killing aura, sharp gaze, domineering spear aura, terrifying power. The spear aura flashed, and blood was seen in every move. So fast, damn, is he cutting vegetables and melons? He's really powerful. I knew that Fatty's combat power was not bad, but I underestimated him. Although it's only the first level, his killing speed is too fast. Even Ling Feng couldn't compare to him when he was on the first level. Yes, this Fatty is really not simple. He just came to the great world of Xiandi and he's already so strong. How strong will he be in the future? He's definitely an extremely heaven-defying monster. Yes, he has at least 1,000 years of growth. His strength will increase very quickly. Although the results are not out yet, Fatty's combat power is definitely not low. He might even surpass Ling Feng. If it's 1,000 years later, I feel that even if Fatty enters a top academy, he will be one of the top monsters, at least in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Chen Hao had just started killing when the buzzing sound of discussion exploded in the assessment palace. Ling Feng, who was showing off to Fatty just now, frowned slightly. His eyes flashed as he stared straight at Fatty in the image. His mind was completely immersed in the battle technique that shocked him. There were no moves or styles, but they were ingenious to the extreme. Every spear strike seemed simple and unadorned, but the profundities contained within, the angle, timing, speed, and so on of the spear strike were just right to attack vital points. Every move was an attack as a defense. The more Ling Feng watched, the more shocked and excited he became. Soon, he was immersed in Xianxia's spear aura as if he was drunk. Even Xuefian, who had been calm since the beginning, had her eyes fixed on Fatty's figure. She didn't look away for even a moment. What an exquisite battle technique! Every move locked onto the opponent's weakness, saving the enemy's life. This little Fatty was actually strong to the point where he could move as he pleased. And this murderous intent. How many massacres did he have to go through to reach such a level? I didn't expect this at all. The more Gu Chan watched, the more shocked he became. When Xianxia stepped into the second level at an extremely fast speed, he was certain that this Fatty's combat strength was definitely stronger than Ling Feng's. The terrifying slaughter intent and shocking combat skills had far exceeded his expectations. What was even more shocking was that when the Fatty was hiding, even he couldn't sense him at all. This was enough to prove that the Fatty had absolute control over his slaughter will. To be able to control such a terrifying slaughter will, how strong was his soul, state of mind, and will? The third floor. The fourth floor. A moment later, under everyone's shocked gazes, Fatty entered the fourth floor. The first 3 floors, 3,000 points, had killed 3,000 simulated cultivators, but Fatty didn't show the slightest sign of fatigue. He didn't even suffer a single serious injury that would affect his battle. Furthermore, in the first 3 floors, the Fatty did not take the initiative to choose. It could be said that he killed all the way to the end. To rumble. The moment the Fatty's body appeared on the 4th floor with a terrifying slaughter will, several terrifying attacks came at him. This is more like it. Sensing the attacks coming at him, Xianxia didn't feel any pressure. Instead, he became excited. In the first 3 floors he had killed 3,000 simulated cultivators consecutively, which had completely aroused Xianxia's slaughter will. At this moment, although Xianxia's mind was clear, the murderous aura that radiated from within became more and more intense. It also had a subtle effect on his state of mind. The more he killed, the better he felt. The stronger the enemy, the higher his battle intent. On the 4th floor, the simulated cultivator's strength suddenly increased by a large margin, which naturally made Xianxia even more excited. As the spear light flickered, an even more terrifying battle erupted. The Fatty's murderous aura completely erupted. Every time the word die came out from between his teeth, one or even several simulated cultivators would fall under the spear light. Blood dyed the sky. What is that? When Fatty killed 3,984 and was about to break through the 4,000 mark and enter the 5th floor, many of the cultivators present suddenly exclaimed in surprise. God, the power of faith. Brother Fatty, can you not be so perverted? Fuck, damn Fatty, can you be any more perverted? While the crowd was in an uproar, Ao Qian and Ling Feng's eyeballs almost fell to the ground. They were completely shocked by Fatty. Good lad. Teacher Gu Chan's beard trembled. This Fatty, Xuefian, who had never revealed any emotions on her face, finally had a flash of surprise. She stared at the phantom formed by the slaughter will between Fatty's eyebrows and muttered. As for Fatty, he didn't even know that there was a change between his eyebrows. He was only immersed in the narcissism of killing. So handsome. Is this the slaughter god? Fatty should have inherited the slaughter will. Moreover, it should be an inheritance formed from the power of faith. Otherwise, it would be impossible to form such a lifelike god. This is the true god he believes in, right? I've never seen such a handsome true god. Fuck, it can't be, right? Fuck. Just as everyone was discussing, something even more shocking happened. Originally, as Xianxia killed crazily, A fist-sized phantom sitting cross-legged appeared between his eyebrows. This phantom was the appearance of Qin Hao's original body. Its eyes were closed, like an old monk in meditation. This phenomenon naturally appeared in the real illusory phantom in the connected state. Just the appearance of such a lifelike figure was enough to shock all the cultivators. They even thought that it was the manifestation of Fatty's god of faith, a blessing. However, at this moment, the true god had actually opened his eyes. Its blood-red eyes were filled with endless killing intent. It was soul-stirring, but its eyes were slightly empty and lost. But even so, it was enough to shock everyone to the extreme. Inheriting the power of faith, giving birth to intelligence, Gu Chan, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Shui Fian, and countless other experienced and knowledgeable cultivators came to a conclusion for Qin Hao almost immediately. When they came to this conclusion, apart from being shocked, teacher Gu Chan and Shui Fian did not have any other thoughts. However, Ao Qian and Ling Feng frowned. Ao Qian and Fatty hit it off, and it could be said that he was very impressed by Fatty. Ling Feng and Fatty had the same concealment and special ability. They had competed along the way, and there was a sense of appreciation for each other. Therefore, while the two of them were shocked, they also had a trace of worry. The power of inheritance was most afraid of giving birth to intelligence. Chapter 1206. In the great world of Xiandi, when cultivators who cultivated the power of faith borrowed the power of faith, a shadow of the true god of faith would appear, giving them unparalleled power. However, it was extremely rare for a shadow to appear and open its eyes. It was obvious that it had gained sentience. It was also a taboo and feared existence for all cultivators. Once a cultivator reached this level, they would have to think twice before using this kind of power. Moreover, they would have to control its evolution. Otherwise, the soul of the original body might be replaced by it, just like when Humaingyang's mind gave birth to spiritual intelligence. At this moment, the shadow that appeared between the Fatty's eyebrows was obviously controlling the Fatty's slaughter. The fifth level. Just as everyone was in shock, Chen Hao obtained 4,000 points and stepped into the fifth level without any suspense. Kill. Those who block me will die. Chen Hao's mind was filled with endless killing intent. When the massacre intent appeared and opened its eyes, Chen Hao knew what had happened to him. However, not only was Chen Hao not worried, he was pleasantly surprised. Just like when he was in the demonic state, the third anima was naturally born. Now that the massacre intent had bloomed, the eighth anima was easily born. Just like the third anima, it was born when he was in his strongest state. It was an existence that was comparable to his strength. 4,500. He's about to surpass me. This Fatty actually has such a strong power of faith. Damn it, don't let him become a puppet. That would be boring. Ling Feng was still staring at the image, thinking to himself. Could it be that he can break through 5,000 points? Shui Fian could not help but think to herself. 5,000. Even if I use all my strength and expose my true body, I won't be able to break through it. Staring at the Fatty's figure, Shui Fian frowned slightly. It seemed that she was unable to calm down. Voila. 5467. Is this possible? Fuck, I didn't see wrongly. His combat power is 5,467. In front of the Daluo Golden Wonderland's pagoda tablet, all the cultivators were in an uproar. Countless people stared at the name and combat power that had just appeared on the pagoda tablet, unable to believe their eyes. 5467. In terms of pure battle power, he was ranked in the top 10 of the entire pagoda. What kind of concept was that? The newcomer, Li Yuan, in terms of combat power, had surpassed all the seniors of the Daluo Golden Wonderland in Dahua University. This was absolutely inconceivable. After all, the seniors, or rather, the senior students who were ranked at the top, were the direct descendants of Dahua University. They had been in the world for at least a few thousand years and had enjoyed the best treatment to increase their combat power to more than 5,000. For someone like Li Yuan to obtain such a powerful combat strength during the entrance exam, It was definitely unprecedented. Of course, this was referring to the University of Dohua. He Ming was dumbfounded. Wan Yishui was stunned. The people who were on the same team as Wan Yishui and He Ming, especially those who often provoked He Ming, were completely stunned. How could this fatty be so strong? However, reality was reality. A combat power of 5,467 was enough to prove fatty's strength. There was no doubt about that. Similarly, the old beauty of Hongmeng, Xixian, who was the center of attention, was also stunned. She did not need to know too much. Just from the exclamations of the people around her, she knew how strong Chen Hao's combat power was. This batch of disciples is too strong. 3 of them are monsters, especially Li Yuan. Even in the top schools, he would be among the top geniuses, right? Do you think the last one will be stronger? Stronger is a bit difficult, but definitely not weaker. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to surpass Li Yuan, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian in the foundation exam. Our Dehua University's Dao Yuo Golden Wonderland's ranking is going to be interesting. Soon, 3 or 4 of the top 10 will change hands. Probably. Xue Fian put away her shock. Under the gazes of thousands of people, as well as the expectations and guesses of countless people, as the first place of the foundation exam, she was the last one to appear. Putting her potential value aside, if Xue Fian wanted to maintain her lead in the foundation exam and combat power ranking, her combat power would need to reach around 5,200 points. Xue Fian knew her true combat power. Even if she fully exposed it, she would not be able to reach the 5,000-point mark. This meant that Fatty Li Yuan was destined to be the first in both the foundation exam and combat power ranking. The only thing Xue Fian could do was to reduce the gap as much as possible. When the potential value was retested, she would be able to surpass him, although the chances of that were very small. How could someone with such exquisite combat skills and combat power have a low potential value? Even if Fatty Li had around 1,000 points from Xue Fian's point of view, his potential value would not be too low. It would not be easy to turn the tables around. Ah, what a beauty! She's so beautiful that she's bubbling. When Xue Fian obtained 4,000 points and broke through to the 5th level, the image on the testing tower suddenly changed. The original, ugly, appearance disappeared and was replaced by a noble and cold beauty. Beauty. It's a pity that you're taken. You don't have the body of primordial Yin. Otherwise, I would definitely take you. However, it's not bad to play around like this. Moreover, her talent is not bad. Ao Qian's eyes widened. He was almost drooling. Under the pressure of Fatty Li's terrifying combat power, Xue Fian removed her disguise as soon as she stepped onto the 5th level. The disguise that was not the ultimate form of the Great Change technique would affect one's combat power. It was just like how Xixian did not want to disguise herself. There was no need for her to do so as she would be exposed once she fought. Brother Ao, it's fine if you're just joking. However, if you really have such thoughts, you have to be careful. This woman must have been taken by a top expert or a genius who is more powerful than her. No matter what, you have to be careful when playing with her. Carnage Battle Team's leader, Su Tao, said. The way they addressed Ao Qian became respectful. What's there to be afraid of? What's there to be afraid of? What's there to be afraid of? Brother Fatty, are you interested? Please, don't say that I know you in the future, Fatty said in disdain. Strange, Ling Feng, who was watching from a distance, frowned slightly. Why do I feel like I've seen her somewhere before? That's impossible. I remember clearly even when I was in my mother's womb. How can I have such a feeling? Subconscious? Love at first sight? Once. Although this girl is sexy and cold, she's not my cup of tea. Moreover, she's already taken. There's no reason for that. Why do I feel that she's familiar? Perhaps my supernatural ability has sensed a trace of her original appearance? Maybe my special ability has been allowed to increase by 1 level. Ling Feng's special ability could only see through all disguises, including the ultimate form of the Great Change technique. However, he could not see the essence like Chen Hao. Chapter 1207. So strong? Other than using my strongest move, I have already used all my strength. Not only did I lose to Fatty, but I also lost to this girl? After a while, Ling Feng stared at the sexy and enchanting Xuefian. He did not need to look any further. He felt that she would surpass his score. That was indeed the case. 4,873 points. Xuefian's combat power was second only to the crazy Fatty. She had surpassed Ling Feng and Ao Qian and was ranked second. When the results came out, there was a commotion in front of the pagoda ranking outside. Some male cultivators were especially excited when they saw that the last name was actually a girl. Moreover, her combat power was only second to the crazy Li Yuan, who had reached more than 4,800 points. However, although most people were excited and moved, they knew their own limits. There were very few geniuses who were eager to make a move. Xuefian was definitely the best candidate for a cultivation partner. It was a pity that the cultivators outside did not know that Xuefian did not have an original Yin body. Otherwise, they would not have such thoughts. The crazy Fatty's total score is first. Fatty Li Yuan is really crazy. He's first. Xuefian and Ling Feng are also crazy. It's a pity that they met Fatty Li Yuan, who is even crazier. Otherwise, not to mention the two of them, even Ao Qian would be able to get first place in 99% of the assessment batches. The strong meet the strong. It will depend on the potential value. Fatty Li Yuan and Xuefian will definitely have to retest. So will Ao Qian. Ling Feng did not hold back much. Moreover, the gap between him and Xuefian is huge. He is obviously stronger than Ao Qian. After Ao Qian retests, it is unlikely that he will surpass him. I don't think he will retest. The crowd was buzzing with discussion. Obviously, they had calculated the total score of Chen Hao, Xuefian, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian so far. The full score of the combat power was still calculated with 10,000 points. If converted to a 100-point system, the results of the four of them were as follows. First place, Chen Hao 54. 7 points second place, Xuefian 48. 7 points third place, Ling Feng 44. 6 points fourth place, Ao Qian 33. 9 points. The total score was calculated by 30% of the basic test score, 40% of the combat power score, and 30% of the potential value. After combining the results of the basic test and combat strength score, the total results of the four of them were as follows. First place, Chen Hao, 38. 74 points. Second place, Xuefian, 37. 21 points. Third place, Ling Feng, 33. 14 points. Fourth place, Ao Qian, 28. 68 points. The difference of 1 point in the total score was about 33 points in the 100-point potential value. After converting it to 10,000 points, it was 333 points. In order to surpass Chen Hao, Xuefian needed to surpass him by 500 points. Ling Feng needed to be 1,400 points higher than Xuefian in order to surpass her. Ao Qian also needed to be 1,500 points higher than Ling Feng to surpass him. This was basically impossible in terms of potential value. In the end, Ao Qian gave up on retesting his potential value. His original potential value was 1642. Even if he exposed his bloodline source, it would only increase by a little more than 1,000 points. That would be around 2,000 points, not 3,000 points. Even if Ling Feng didn't retest, he would still have a high score of 2,311 points. How could he be 1,500 points higher than Ling Feng? The fourth place was basically a foregone conclusion. Ling Feng hesitated for a moment before giving up on retesting his potential value. He couldn't surpass those in front of him, and those behind him couldn't catch up. Since he was already in third place, there was no need to retest. Xuefian, the direct disciple with a potential value of 1,000 points, directly took the test. In the end, she obtained a terrifying score of 3,846 points, causing an uproar. At this point, even Ling Feng couldn't help but be impressed. This woman with a strong body wasn't just strong in her inheritance, she was also strong in herself. When the cultivators present saw Xuefian's heaven-defying result, they couldn't be sure who would take first place between Fatty and Xuefian. Chen Hao's potential value had to be above 3,336 points in order to take first place. Otherwise, Xue Fian would take first place. Although Chen Hao wasn't impressed, he had to admit that Xue Fian was very heaven-defying. She was so heaven-defying that he had to use all his strength to maintain his lead. He couldn't relax at all. At the same time, the newcomer rankings on the Daluo Golden Wonderland ranking tower changed again. Xue Fian overtook Li Yuan and took first place among the newcomers. This made everyone realize that Fatty had surpassed Xue Fian's total score in the basic test and combat strength test. This was because Xue Fian had taken the potential value test first and confirmed the potential value results included in the ranking. However, this wasn't important. What was important was that all the cultivators in front of the tower gasped in shock. The potential value that appeared behind Xue Fian's name was 3,846 points. This was even more shocking than Chen Hao's over 5,000 points in combat strength. Brother Fatty, it's all up to you. Damn it, this woman is heaven-defying. I'm impressed. A potential value of 3,846 points is too amazing. Brother Fatty, you can do it. Brother Fatty, you can definitely win. While Ao Qian and the Carnage Battle team members were cheering, Xue Fian, who had returned to her ugly appearance, intentionally or unintentionally, looked at Chen Hao provocatively. With a "wang" sound, he shook his big butt and stepped into the potential value test space. How much potential value could Fatty have? Everyone knew that Fatty's potential value was definitely not bad, but no one could estimate how much it was. Xue Fian, who looked calm, became slightly nervous after Chen Hao started the test. Ever since she started cultivating, she had never lost to anyone. Or rather, she had never really competed with anyone. However, from her master's words, she knew that she was very strong. In the whole of the great world of Xiandi, in the current Daluo Golden Wonderland, there were only a handful of people who were stronger than her. This time, her mission was to stop someone who was fated with her. She had to get first place. She didn't know what fated meant. She also didn't know who the fated person was. She only knew that she had to get first place. Therefore, after discovering Fatty's threat, she started to do her best until she finished the potential value test again. She had tried her best. The rest was up to fate. Fatty's potential value had become the key point. This was also what everyone was most concerned about at the moment. Time passed by minute. Under the space-time law, Fatty finally came out after 2 hours. At this moment, on the huge screen in the testing palace, and after Li Yuan's name on the pagoda ranking outside, Chen Hao's potential value after the test appeared. Everyone was stupefied. They were dumbfounded. Whether it was the cultivators at the scene or the cultivators in front of the ranking pagoda outside, they couldn't believe the number they saw. Wan Yishui and He Ming stared with their eyes wide open. Fatty's figure appeared in their minds. How could a damn Fatty be so heaven-defying? 4,139 points. Si Xian's beautiful face blushed as she muttered. Chapter 1208. He broke the record. The highest potential value in the history of Dehua Academy. What a monstrous genius. His potential value has actually exceeded 4,000. In any top-notch academy, his potential value alone can be ranked in the top 10. This Li Yuan definitely has the ability to compete for the throne of Dehua Academy's Daluo Golden Wonderland. It's not just Li Yuan. Xue Fian, Ling Feng, and even Ao Qian have the ability to compete. After all, a test is a test. Their strongest techniques will not be revealed. When it comes to a real battle, it's hard to say who is stronger and who is weaker. But no matter what, there are 4 super geniuses in this batch. Yeah, especially Li Yuan. His potential value has exceeded 4,000, setting the record for Dehua Academy's preliminary test since ancient times. He's really too powerful. Looking at the list on the pagoda monument, the potential value column behind Chen Hao's name had turned into a crimson number representing Dehua Academy's highest preliminary test record. The crowd buzzed in discussion. Regardless of whether it was during the preliminary test or after the entrance test, the potential value was the column that changed the least on the pagoda monument. Unless one's physical body, bloodline, soul, comprehension, and other aspects had undergone a qualitative transformation, the results would be stable no matter how many times one tested. The difference between the highest and the lowest would not exceed 100 points. As for whether it was higher or lower, it would depend on one's performance on the spot. In fact, for every academy and every realm, the pagoda monument rankings were based on contribution value, combat power value, and potential value. These three values represented the past, present, and future respectively. The contribution value represented the past battle results, recording the details of the cultivator. The combat power value represented the cultivator's current combat power, the most direct reflection of the cultivator's current strength. The potential value represented the cultivator's future and was closely related to what realm they could grow to in the future. Put together, it was a more comprehensive evaluation of the cultivator. First place, Li Yuan, unconditionally receives the treatment of the top 10 Daluo Golden Wonderland in any pavilion of Dehua Academy for 1 year. If he displays the potential to become one of the top 10 in this year, he will enjoy this treatment permanently. Second place, Xue Fian. Third place, Ling Feng. Fourth place, Ao Qian, and the rest of the top 10 will enjoy the treatment of the top 100 in any pavilion for 1 year. Chen Hao's completion of the potential value test meant that this batch of assessments was over. At this moment, Teacher Gu Chan announced the names of the cultivators who had received different treatment. Alright, I'll send you out now. Once you leave, you'll see the ranking on the pagoda outside the testing center. It's also the honor ranking that all the cultivators in the University of Dehua pay attention to. Through it, you'll be able to understand your own strength and the strength of others. You will have half a day of free time. You can use the token to wander around the academy. Half a day later, you will report to the academy's hall. At that time, you will be notified via the token. 1. Chi 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 chi. Just as Master Gu Chan finished speaking, all the cultivators in the testing palace were enveloped by the mysterious runic light, vanishing from where they stood. When he reappeared, he was already outside the entrance of the testing center. At a glance, he could see towering pagoda monuments. Let's go and take a look. The cultivators who had just come out locked onto the top of the pagoda stele with the words, Daluo Golden Wonderland, and quickly flew over. He's out. There was a difference in the space-time laws between the testing palace and the outside world. In fact, from the beginning of the test to the end of Chen Hao and the others, as Master Gu Chan had said, it did not take much time at all. When Fatty Li Yuan appeared last and his potential value broke the record of the University of Dahua's preliminary test, everyone knew that the newcomers were coming out. At this moment, Wan Yishui, He Ming, and the others all stood up. The old man, who had come to the pagoda stele for various purposes, was excited. He released his divine consciousness and scanned the newcomers who were flying over. Brother, which Xue Fian? Which one is Li Yuan? Which one is Ling Feng? Which one is Ao Qian? Among the 4 monstrous geniuses, Xue Fian was undoubtedly the most anticipated existence among the male cultivators because of her gender. Although many people knew that they were not worthy or qualified, it did not mean that they could not admire her, right? Fatty Li Yuan, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian were also anticipated. Brother Fatty, Brother Ao, you have agreed to join the Carnage Battle team. Please don't agree to anyone else. I can even let you be the captain. The strong will be the king. Chen Hao, Ao Qian, and the members of the Carnage Battle team, who were standing together, were sent out of the testing palace almost at the same time. The moment they came out, the captain, Su Tao, who had experience in the academy, said directly to Chen Hao and Ao Qian. No matter what, Su Tao and the others would not give up on these 2 heaven-defying existences. If they could be with the real monstrous geniuses, even if they did not care about anything, they would be affected by the providence and benefit from it. How could they not know this? Brother Fatty is a man of his word. Don't worry. Brother, I said that I don't care about the battle team. Since Brother Fatty is joining you, I will naturally follow. Lonely as snow, with Brother Fatty as the guiding light, Brother Fatty is very beauty. Fuck, Brother Fatty, aren't you too fierce? Just as the skinny monkey was speaking, his eyes suddenly widened and he looked like a pig. He was almost drooling. However, when he saw the beauty and called out, he was completely blocked by the fatty's swinging buttocks. He was shocked by the fatty. When he saw the beauty, he just called out to her, but fatty actually shot over directly. It can't be? However, Ao Qian and the members of the Carnage Battle team were immediately dumbfounded. Fatty and the stunning beauty, who was a beauty from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, actually held hands, intimately, as if they were Tao companions. What made them even more surprised and puzzled was that although the beauty's life aura was very old, her face did not show any signs of aging. Fatty's Tao companion? Ling Feng, who had just come out and locked onto Fatty and Ao Qian, was also a little surprised when he saw this scene. His gaze was fixed on Xianxia's face, and he frowned slightly. Fuck, what's wrong with Brother Fatty? Why do I feel like I've seen her before? Could it be that all beauties are fated with Brother Fatty? Ling Feng did not understand. He was a little annoyed. When he saw Xue Fian's face, he felt that she was familiar, as if he had seen her before. Now, when he saw Xian, this stunning beauty, he also felt like he had seen her before. This kind of hazy feeling should not have appeared on a cultivator from the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Perhaps it's time for Brother Fatty to find a beautiful and talented Tao companion. However, who in this first-rate academy is worthy of Brother Fatty? Ling Feng shook his head and attributed it to his lonely emotional state. Chapter 12:10. Xian's attack power and speed were at the bottom of the 3 basic tests, but her endurance was extremely terrifying. She was only less than a minute behind the first place and obtained second place. In the combat strength test, Xian displayed this terrifying endurance to the fullest. She used several times the time of other cultivators to break through the second level. When she entered the third level, she was directly killed because of the increase in combat strength of the simulated cultivators. Xian also obtained a high score of 2,000 points, surpassing most of the cultivators who had more than 1,000 points. This made those who had previously despised Xian shut up. She had completely relied on her terrifying endurance to kill all the simulated cultivators on the second level who were of similar strength. Moreover, everyone felt that if the simulated cultivators on the third level were not directly stronger than those on the second level and exceeded Xian's endurance range, Xian would probably have been able to continue and kill them continuously. This situation also made many cultivators realize that the specially recruited Xian was probably not what they had previously guessed. At the same time, many cultivators once again developed a strong interest in Xian, this unrivaled beauty at the level of an ageless legend, and paid attention to Xian. When Xian did not go to the ranking pagoda of her realm but went to the neighboring Daluo Golden Wonderland's ranking pagoda, many Grand Mist Supremacy realm cultivators were puzzled. What was there to pay attention to in the Daluo Golden Wonderland? However, not long after, the fatty's appearance dispelled the doubts in their hearts. The two of them naturally stood hand in hand and communicated intimately through voice transmission. Anyone could tell that they were a pair of Tao companions. When the cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland saw Xian's appearance and sensed Xian's aged aura of life, regardless of Xian's strength, they immediately thought that the fatty had taken a fancy to her unrivaled beauty. The men praised the fatty's taste and expressed their envy, jealousy, and hatred. The women lamented that they did not have Xian's unrivaled beauty and were similarly envious, jealous, and hateful. However, the cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm were unhappy. How could a little fatty who was not handsome and was only from the Daluo Golden Wonderland be worthy of an ageless beauty? Moreover, he was a genius with a terrifying endurance and a combat strength of 2,000 points? Mrong Chenhua? It can't be? What was he going to do? Could it be that he has taken a fancy to Chenxi? Just as the fatty and Xian's meeting attracted the attention of everyone on the fatty's side and nearly half of the cultivators on Xian's side, Murong Chenhua, the cultivator who won the first place with an absolute advantage in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, suddenly flew towards Xian and Chenhao. In this batch of assessments, The overall results of the Daluo Golden Wonderland were heaven-defying, and the Grand Mist Supremacy realm wasn't bad either. Murong Qianhua's 3 basic tests were 4,238, 4,233, 13 days, and his combat strength was 4,231. Other than the endurance, which was calculated based on time, the other values were between 4230 and 4240, with a difference of a single digit. Was this a coincidence or perfect control? Hello, Xianxia. Crash. The crowd immediately exploded. When the cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm saw that Murong Qianhua was indeed looking for Xianxia, they were naturally shocked. After all, Murong Qianhua, who won the first place and had a terrifying score, would definitely be a top genius even in a top academy. What kind of woman could he not get? Xian, a stunning beauty with a youthful appearance, was undoubtedly an excellent choice for the ordinary cultivators among them, but she was definitely not worthy of a monstrous genius like Murong Qianhua. Moreover, no one expected the cold Murong Qianhua to take the initiative to approach Xianxia. But since he was close, with Murong Qianhua's appearance, strength, and potential, they believed that not many women could resist the temptation, even if Murong Qianhua was just playing around. Many of the Hongmeng Supremes who rushed over couldn't help but look at the fatty with a trace of sympathy and pity. Isn't this a slap in the face? And a slap in the face? Fuck, a blatant slap in the face, how arrogant. Don't look at this guy's status as a Hongmeng supremacy. I guarantee that if he really wants to take advantage of the fatty, he will be trampled by the fatty sooner or later. How can the fatty's face be slapped by ordinary people? The cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland were even more in an uproar. They all looked at Murong Qianhua as if they were looking at an idiot. The Grand Mist Supremacy realm was amazing? In front of a monstrous genius like the fatty, it wouldn't take long for him to be trampled to death. This was the thought of most of the cultivators in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. In their opinion, if they were to show off in front of the fatty now, they wouldn't even know how they died in the future. And it wouldn't be too far away. People from both sides looked at Xian. Fatty, let me introduce you. This is the first place of our Grand Mist Supremacy realm's recent assessment. The 3 basic tests are 4238, 4233, 13 days, a combat strength of 4,231, a direct descendant of the University of Dahua, Murong Qianhua. After frowning slightly, Xian showed a natural smile. Instead, she introduced Murong Qianhua to Chen Hao. Hearing Xian's introduction, Chen Hao was slightly stunned. The cultivators of the Daluo Golden Wonderland were in an uproar. Fuck, this was also a super genius. This result, no matter which test it was at the level of a fortress. However, compared to the fatty, he was still a bit worse. However, the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy realm were 2 different levels of tests. The comparison results could only be used as a reference. Hello. What surprised the cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm was that the fatty did not show any surprise after hearing Xian's introduction. Instead, he narrowed his bright eyes and greeted Murong Qianhua with a smile. This is my cultivation partner, Li Yuan. He also happens to be the first place of the Daluo Golden Wonderland's recent assessment, Xian continued. Crash. As soon as she finished speaking, the cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm and Murong Qianhua, who had rushed over, looked at the ranking pagoda monument of the Daluo Golden Wonderland with a trace of surprise. Fuck, it can't be, right? This fatty is so terrifying. This time, not only did all the Hongmeng Supremes' eyeballs fall to the ground and their jaws dislocate in shock, even Murong Qianhua stared at the ranking pagoda monument with a deep frown. Although the comparison between the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy realm did not have much significance, there was still a basic range. For example, the test results of the Daluo Golden Wonderland could be estimated after being promoted to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. A combat strength of 5,467. What kind of heaven-defying result was this? Such a result, even after being promoted to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, would be reduced in the Hongmeng Supremes test, but it would not be reduced by too much. It would not be a problem to maintain a combat strength of around 5,000. However, this was not what really shocked them. After Li Yuan's name, the potential value displayed in red was 4139. It was even more heaven-defying. Chapter 12:11. A potential value of 4,139. Not to mention first-rate academies, even top-notch academies were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. But now, one had actually appeared in front of them. Moreover, it was an extremely ordinary-looking fatty. How could the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm cultivators not be shocked? A potential value of 4,139. It's so strong. Murong Qianhua gasped in his heart. He was shocked beyond words. Murong Qianhua, the supreme genius of the direct line of descent of the University of Dehua, was not born this time to stop the non-direct line of descent from winning first place. This was because, not to mention this batch, even in all the batches of powerhouses in the past million years, there were not many who were qualified for him to appear. His birth this time was completely arranged by his master. His master had not told him the specific reason yet. Murong Qianhua did not even have to retest his initial potential value of 1,000, and he won first place in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm with an absolute advantage. Such a heaven-defying monster definitely had the capital to look down on the world and consider everything beneath him. There were very few things and people that could shock and interest him. However, what he did not expect was that as soon as he was born, he would meet a woman he was interested in, Xianxia. She had a peerless appearance and an eternal youthful appearance. To any normal man, she had a strong attraction, especially to Murong Qianhua, who had just been born and did not have a Taoist companion. In other words, he had not really been in contact with any woman. Her attraction was undoubtedly greater. He believed that with his appearance, strength, aptitude, and potential, it would be difficult for a female cultivator to refuse him even if he was just playing around. He could fool them with a few words. Therefore, Murong Qianhua did not want to lower himself and approach Xixian in public. However, he, who had been paying attention to Xixian, could not help it when he saw that Xixian was in close contact with a fatty from the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Even if he was just playing around with the girl he liked, he could not let others take her first, right? He was not interested in those who did not have a body of vital yin. When Murong Qianhua took the initiative to approach and greet Xixian, he did not take the fatty seriously at all. In his opinion, he was much better than Qin Hao in all aspects. They were not on the same level at all. Even if the fatty and Xixian were to be Taoist companions in name, he was confident that he could easily win her over. But now, my true potential value is at most around 3,500. How can this unremarkable fatty, who I can't sense anything special about, be so heaven-defying? Murong Qianhua stared at Qin Hao with a trace of imperceptible ferocity in his eyes. He smiled and cupped his fists. Impressive. Although you are only in the realm of Daluo Jingxian, it is rare for your combat power and potential value to reach such a high level. Even when I was in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, I was only a little stronger than you. Amazing. This Murong Qianhua is really hiding something. I knew it. No wonder they all got more than 4,000 points. There's no need for him to reveal his full strength. That is indeed the case. Otherwise, he wouldn't have refused to retest the direct line disciple's potential value of 1,000. Everyone, including Chen Hao and Xixian, was surprised by Murong Qianhua's nonchalant pretentiousness. His smile contained an air of arrogance, and no one doubted the authenticity of his words. Murong Qianhua was the only one who knew his own weight. However, bragging was cheap, and he had the capital to brag. His test data showed that except for the endurance test, which was pushed to the limit by Xixian, he did not do his best in the other tests. However, even if he did his best, it would not be much higher. Moreover, his so-called claim that he was stronger than Qin Hao in the Daluo Golden Wonderland was complete nonsense. However, in this way, he could surpass the fatty and increase his chances of successfully poaching Xixian. Therefore, he did not blush when he bragged. So impressive? Chen Hao showed an exaggerated look of shock. Compared to the top monstrous geniuses, I still need to work harder. Wuxia Xianxia still had a faint smile on his face. He was neither humble nor smug. His performance was just right, and no one would doubt the authenticity of his words. He was full of the style of a genius. Miss Xianxia, I admire your endurance and talent. As the captain of the Starlight Squad, I invite you to join our Starlight Squad. Whether it is real or illusions, training, missions, and so on, we are the closest partners. Are you willing? Crash. Starlight Squad. Starlight Squad. Oh my God. Wuxia Xianxia is actually the captain of the Starlight Squad. No wonder, no wonder. Following Wuxia Xianxia's words, the crowd burst into an uproar. A huge uproar broke out in the crowd. The Starlight Squad was the #1 battle squad in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. They were the idols of countless students in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. The members of the squad had reached the peak of 100,000 people in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. Moreover, they adopted an elimination system. It could be said that the members who could stay in the squad for a long time were the elites in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. Among them, there were dozens of people who had made their identities public. They were the top geniuses from the strongest academy in the Great Hua Star. However, the soul of the squad, which was the captain, was extremely mysterious. No one knew his true identity. Other than in the real illusions, no one in the real world, not even the vice-captain, had met him. However, his valiant strength and leadership had developed the Starlight Squad into the #1 battle squad in the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. He deserved to be called the soul of the squad. For the countless academies and battle squads in the Great Hua Star, the captain of the Starlight Squad was a legend and an idol-like existence. At this moment, other than Chen Hao and Xixian, who had not experienced the illusions, who would not be shocked by Wuxia Xianxia's words. It was also at this moment that the cultivators present understood why the mysterious captain of the Starlight Squad had not made his true identity public. The identity of a genius from the Great Hua Star could not be made public. Fuck, this is my idol. What should I do? The members of the Carnage Squad were shocked when they heard Wuxia Xianxia's words. The development of the Starlight Squad, the way they operated, and their terrifying strength were the most admired existence in the Carnage Squad. They were also the role model for the Carnage Squad to study and learn from. Their captain was their idol. However, their idol was Wuxia Xianxia, a person who had slapped Fatty in the face. It was obvious that he wanted to poach Fatty. How could they not be frustrated? Fatty had promised to join the Carnage Squad. Face slapping. Brother Fatty, it's not that I want to stir up trouble, but I can't tolerate this. At this moment, He Ming and the brother from the Wan Yishui squad sent a telepathic message to Chen Hao, hoping for the world to be in chaos. Chapter 12:12. Brother Fatty, don't be impulsive. The captain of the Starlight Battle Team is a legend in our great transforming star. We can't afford to offend him. Brother Fatty, we can't afford to offend this person. Try not to offend him. Brother Fatty, the Starlight Battle Team is our great transforming star. When everyone saw that the extremely exaggerated shock on the Fatty's face froze, and his fat face instantly turned into the color of a pig's liver, the members of the Carnage Battle Team who were in a dilemma also transmitted messages to the Fatty. If the Fatty offended Wuxia Xianxia, even they would not dare to be in the same battle team as the Fatty. The terrifying influence of the Starlight Battle Team was not something they could compete with. Anyone could see that the Fatty was angry. No matter who it was, as long as they had a little bit of dignity, they would not be able to bear such a blatant slap in the face by Wuxia Xianxia. In front of so many cultivators, everyone could see that Fatty and Xixian were a pair of Taoist companions. Wuxia Xianxia had invited them aggressively. Although he didn't explicitly say that he wanted Xixian, it was obvious that he wanted Xixian. A blatant slap in the face. The Fatty, whose face was slightly trembling and the color of a pig's liver, stared at Wuxia Xianxia. Wuxia Xianxia, who stood with his hands behind his back and a faint smile on his face, completely ignored the Fatty's gaze and looked directly at Xixian. Xixian frowned slightly and looked sideways at Chen Hao beside her. Ling Feng frowned slightly at first, but soon he looked at the three of them with interest. Ao Qian licked his lips and looked ready to make a move. His eyes were full of expectation. Although Xue Fian was expressionless, her eyes also stopped on Chen Hao and the other two. Si Xian stared at Chen Hao for a full half a minute. Seeing that this guy looked embarrassed and was about to flip out but did not say anything, she felt a little disappointed. Si Xian was not an idiot. Of course, she could see what Murong Qianhua thought of her. His invitation in front of Chen Hao and many other cultivators was undoubtedly a blatant slap in the face to Chen Hao, who was his nominal Taoist companion in disguise. But for Si Xian, it could show Murong Qianhua's sincerity. Murong Qianhua's expression and tone were confident to the point of arrogance, as if he was sure that Si Xian would not refuse. In this kind of situation, as a woman, the first thing that came to her mind was undoubtedly that Fatty would fight back and announce their relationship forcefully so that she would reject him. This was the only way to show how important she was to him. However, the fat man just stared at Murong Qianhua with an embarrassed expression and didn't say anything. Obviously, the fat man only cared about being cheated in the middle and didn't care about her reaction. "Fatty, are you willing?" Si Xian shook her head slightly, casting aside the little bit of disappointment, and took the lead to speak. What was there to be disappointed about? The two of them were just pretending to be Dao companions. If they got serious, they would lose. However, Si Xian did not directly refuse Murong Qianhua's invitation. Instead, she played dumb and passed the ball to Chen Hao, who did not do anything. Although it wasn't straightforward, it definitely gave Chen Hao face. At least in everyone's eyes, Si Xian's question undoubtedly told everyone that Fatty was her core. "Miss Chen Si, I'm sorry. I like you. Although this fat man is good, my team doesn't need him." Murong Qianhua didn't allow Chen Hao to speak. He frowned slightly and looked directly at Si Xian. After a slight pause, he continued, "Do you understand what I mean? You should have just arrived at the great world of Xiandi not long ago. This is a really powerful world. For you, there will be more opportunities and opportunities. It depends on how you choose." Damn! Chen Hao, who was seething with anger and glaring at Murong Qianhua, was completely defeated by Murong Qianhua. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such a shameless person. Master Fatty didn't speak because he wanted to see Si Xian's thoughts. Did he really think that Master Fatty was afraid? He actually wanted a yard after taking an inch. Wasn't this too blatant? However, the ugly expression on the fatty's face disappeared as he cursed under his breath. Instead, he smiled intimately as he squinted at Si Xian and said, "Darling, have you ever seen such a shameless person?" Si Xian was slightly stunned. For a moment, she didn't understand what Chen Hao was up to. Murong Qianhua frowned slightly and suddenly turned his head. His sharp eyes looked directly at Chen Hao like two cold swords. They were filled with a sense of threat. Fatty's talent was very abnormal. Even he couldn't compare to him. However, Fatty was now one realm lower than him. The future was full of variables. How could he be sure? Murong Qianhua, who had never admitted defeat, was naturally not afraid. He believed that bragging his powerful strength and exposing his identity as the captain of the Starlight Battle team was enough to deter Fatty. Fatty, who was obviously angry but didn't say anything, proved his judgment. Therefore, he was full of confidence and continued to force Si Xian to make a choice. However, he didn't expect that Fatty, who didn't dare to say anything, would suddenly become so calm. The question was obviously directed at him. How could he, who was arrogant, tolerate it? Feeling the cold aura suddenly emitted from Chen Hao's body, Si Xian, who didn't know what Chen Hao was up to, understood that Fatty was going to flip out. She couldn't help but secretly rejoice. While Chen Hao was still worried about her, he finally thought of Murong Qianhua's strength. He had just entered the University of Dahua and hadn't completely settled down. How could he offend such a terrifying monster from the direct line of descent? "I'm sorry, what are you sorry for?" However, Si Xian had just said the word, "sorry," when Fatty grabbed her waist and interrupted her. "Murong Qianhua, right? The number one in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, the direct line of descent from the University of Dahua. Is he strong? The Starlight Battle team is strong? In front of Master Fatty, they are nothing." You're not the first one who dares to have designs on my woman, and you won't be the last either. It can't be helped. Every single one of my women is as devastatingly beautiful as Cece, but you're the most shameless, and the one who doesn't have any self-awareness. What are you looking at? Look at Lord Fatty. I'm still 1,000 times more handsome than you with your nose up in the air. Don't emit that little bit of pressure. In front of Master Fatty, even if you advance to the true immortal stage, it's useless. Are you worthy of snatching Master Fatty's woman? Do you dare to drop one level and have a life and death duel with Master Fatty? What are you talking about? Si Xian didn't expect Chen Hao to say this. She immediately glared at him and transmitted her voice. Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Shui Fian, the members of the Carnage Battle Team, Wan Yishui, He Ming, and the others were all shocked by Fatty's words, let alone the surrounding cultivators. Firstly, they were shocked by Fatty's arrogance. It seemed that he had more than one Dao companion like Chen Si. Secondly, they were shocked that Fatty actually dared to suggest that the other party drop one level and have a life and death duel. This was too bold. Chapter 12-13. It was a duel of life and death. How could he say that so easily? Although the strength and talent that Fatty had displayed were monstrous to a level that even first-rate academies could not reach, his opponent was Murong Qianhua. The test results were nothing. It was meaningless to compare the two realms. However, Murong Qianhua was the captain of the Starlight Squad. How strong were his combat strength and combat skills? There was no doubt that as long as the cultivators present had been in the real illusion, they knew how abnormal Murong Qianhua was. However, the moment the fat man opened his mouth, he asked Murong Qianhua to lower himself by one level and duel with his son. Doesn't this fatty know how terrifying the captain of the Starlight Squad is? Obviously, he doesn't know. Otherwise, why would he want to die? I'm afraid Fatty is done for. Not necessarily. Fatty has such monstrous talent and strength. He might not be worse than Murong Qianhua. He won't be worse than Murong Qianhua. However, you have to know that Murong Qianhua is at the peak of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Even if he suppressed his realm and lowered himself to the Daluo Golden Wonderland to fight with Fatty, his state of mind, will, combat skills, and other aspects still maintain the height of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Fatty's talent is not as good as Murong Qianhua's. Even if he is the same or even a little better than Murong Qianhua, how can he win with such a gap? Under normal circumstances, suppressing one's realm was only suppressing the level of one's strength and heavenly law. However, one's state of mind, will, and knowledge could not be suppressed. To put it simply, after Murong Qianhua suppressed his realm to the Daluo Jingxian, he was definitely stronger than when he was in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. This was undoubtedly disadvantageous for Chen Hao. Of course, I understand this. However, Fatty is so arrogant. He should be very confident. Awesome. Brother Fatty is mighty. This Fatty is really not to be trifled with. I like it. After a brief shock, Ao Qian and Ling Feng revealed a hint of excitement in their eyes. The two of them were not afraid of anything. They were also hot-blooded and flamboyant. Originally, when they saw the Fatty being slapped in the face without making a sound, they had already seen through the Fatty's pretentious nature. They didn't think that the Fatty was afraid. However, they didn't expect the Fatty to be more ruthless than they thought. A duel to the death. If it were the two of them, a duel would be inevitable, but the word life and death would never come up. After all, his opponent was Murong Qianhua, the captain of Starlight Battle Team. Even though she had revealed her true identity during the test, Shui Fian, who was still concealing her appearance and aura, shook her head. Little Fatty, you're courting death. Do you think you can provoke our captain? It took a long time to describe, but in fact, it only took a breath. After a brief shock, among the cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, a disciple who was looking at Murong Qianhua with excitement suddenly glared at Chen Hao arrogantly and scolded. Captain Murong, this Fatty is blatantly provoking us. I'm not a troublemaker, but this is absolutely intolerable. Wan Yishui and He Ming's cheeky habits took advantage of the opportunity to act up. Fight, fight, fight. Captain Murong, fight. You're the idol of our great transforming star, a legend. Kill the fatty. How dare you provoke Captain Starlight? That. With the start of the duel, chaos suddenly ensued. As the saying goes, the eunuchs are more anxious than the emperor. Whether it was the cultivators of the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm or the Daluo Golden Wonderland, at this time, there were many busybodies who were stirring up the crowd. Who wouldn't want to see a duel to the death between two monstrous geniuses who were also top existences in the top academies? As for who would win, who would live, and who would die, no one would care except for those who were related to the two. At least, the cultivators present who were competitors wouldn't care. At this time, the fatty stared at Murong Qianhua with an imposing manner, as if waiting for the other party to speak. Murong Qianhua's originally indifferent and arrogant look had now turned into a frown. Should he accept the challenge or reject it? Murong Qianhua was in a dilemma. He really didn't expect that this ordinary-looking fatty would still dare to challenge him after knowing his situation. Not only did he challenge him, but he also directly asked for a duel to the death. To him, this was absolutely a blatant contempt. He hadn't appeared before, but was this test results and his identity as the captain of the Starlight Squad just for show? However, it was also because he didn't expect the fatty to be so fierce that Murong Qianhua didn't dare to act rashly. After all, when he said that he was stronger than the fatty in the Daluo Golden Wonderland, it was all a bluff. The heaven-defying potential value and the terrifying combat strength value were definitely not something he could achieve. Although he had a certain advantage in the sealed realm, the fatty's abnormal data was undoubtedly the most direct proof of his strength. Chen Hao wasn't an impulsive person. From the moment he stepped into the cultivation world until now, the number of times he lost his mind could be counted on one hand. However, his performance at this moment gave others the impression that he was a fearless and hot-blooded brute. In fact, Chen Hao was very clear that whether Murong Qianhua agreed or not, it was unlikely that only one of them could survive because of this conflict. Even if they wanted to, the Dehua College would never allow it. What Chen Hao wanted to do was nothing more than to slap back in the face with all his might. Whether he could win or not, at least he could fight to his heart's content and vent his anger. At the same time, he wanted to tell everyone that women were Lord Fatty's reverse scale. No matter who you were, if you dared to have any ideas, Lord Fatty would dare to fight you to the death. At first, Chen Hao concluded that Murong Qianhua would agree, but now he was a little puzzled. Wasn't the legend very powerful? The captain of Dehua Planet's #1 squad, the idol of countless cultivators, and also said that he was stronger than him in the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Why didn't he immediately flip out in the face of his provocation? You don't dare. The fat man narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but provoke again with a contemptuous look. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on Murong Qianhua. Murong Qianhua, who frowned, suddenly snorted and said, "You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. You don't dare? I, Murong Qianhua, just don't want to take advantage of you. If you really want to fight, then catch up to my realm and challenge me again. I don't want to bully people with a sealed realm." Shoo, suddenly, there were a lot of boos from the crowd. Although Murong Qianhua spoke confidently, and his expression seemed to be the case, at this time, his words made many people who wanted to watch the fun unhappy. The bench and melon seeds were ready, but the protagonist refused to act. It was too boring. Murong Qianhua ignored them and looked directly at Xian again, saying, "Miss Chen Si, such a boorish man who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Although he has some talent, he won't know how he died in the future. You have to think carefully. Who are you saying doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth? I think you are the one who thinks you are infallible. It's not too late to say such words after you have sealed your realm and defeated my cultivation partner." After Chen Hao mentioned a life and death duel, Xian, who didn't stop Chen Hao at all, finally couldn't stand it anymore. Chapter 12:14. Chen Hao was a little stunned. When did this girl have so much confidence in me? Xian's sudden words were undoubtedly despising Murong Qianhua and defending Chen Hao. But there was no doubt that this contempt was also a provocation to Murong Qianhua. Xian dared to say so because she naturally thought that Qianhao was sure of winning and was not afraid of Murong Qianhua accepting the challenge. You don't know what's good for you. The guy who jumped out before in order to cling to Murong Qianhua jumped out again like a dog raised by Murong Qianhua. Captain, there's no need to be modest to such a person. Just teach him a lesson. Otherwise, he will think that the captain is really afraid of him. Yes, Captain Murong, do it. Let us rookies appreciate the real heroism of Captain Starlight. Starlight is invincible. Captain is invincible. Teach this arrogant fatty a lesson. Support. Following the words of the man who was born cheap, countless busybodies suddenly clamored. Murong Qianhua was annoyed. He wanted to pinch this talkative dog to death. Would it die if he didn't talk so much? My so-called strength was just a bluff. If I was really stronger than this fat man, why would I need your encouragement? But he, who cherished his face, would never say this out loud. Looking at the fat man's provocative and determined eyes and Qianxi's contemptuous expression, Murong Qianhua became more and more unconfident. He could only continue to pretend to be sanctimonious to the end. Murong Qianhua, who had a good control of his expression, looked at Xian's face, shook his head slightly, sighed, and said, Miss Qianxi, you have disappointed me. I hope you won't regret it, little fatty. Catch up with my realm as soon as possible if you have the ability. I will never do things that have an unfair advantage. And you are not qualified enough for me to seal my realm to fight with you. After Murong Qianhua finished speaking, he turned around and left. He turned a blind eye to the surrounding cultivators' words. His expression was aloof, and he walked with his hands behind his back. He looked like a master who was detached from the world and did not want to lower himself to the same level as the fat man and Xian. What made everyone believe in Murong Qianhua even more, and no longer doubted his ability and identity, was that he, who seemed to be walking slowly with his hands behind his back, clearly appeared in everyone's eyes. However, with every step he took, his figure would increase by one. In an instant, it was as though he had filled the entire world. Everyone present, including Qianhao, could not tell which one was the real Murong Qianhua for a moment. The moment all the figures disappeared, the entire sky suddenly fell into endless darkness. Immediately, numerous bright stars flashed out from the darkness and immediately streaked across the sky like meteors. No one knew where Murong Qianhua. Only the countless rays of resplendent starlight disappeared from everyone's eyes. Captain! God! This is the real stars. It's exactly the same as what I saw in the immortal realm. What a powerful footwork. Amazing! Too amazing! He is indeed the captain of the Starlight Battle Team. His unique way of leaving, his signature move, the origin of the Starlight Battle Team's name. How can a sparrow know the ambition of a swan? Fatty Li Yuan is a top genius even in a top academy. I didn't expect him to be a sparrow who couldn't catch Murong Qianhua's attention. How much strength is he hiding? He's too strong. Buzzing discussions broke out among the crowd in the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. Murong Qianhua seemed to have casually shown his skills, but it shocked everyone. Phew. Thank goodness. Brother Fatty, time is short, and I didn't have time to tell you the horror of the captain of the Starlight Battle Team. Fortunately, Murong Qianhua thought highly of himself and didn't accept your challenge. Otherwise, the consequences would be very serious. The captain of the Carnage Battle Team, Su Tao, and the others quickly came to Qianhao's side and said, Yes, Brother Fatty, let me say something. Don't be unhappy. Although you are very strong, Murong Qianhua is definitely not inferior to you. Under his leadership, the Starlight Battle Team is a legend in the Daluo Star in the illusory reality. The captain is the idol of countless people, Gong Chao said. The illusory reality was another name for the immortal realm. He is indeed a little strong. However, if you are promoted to the Supreme of Hongmeng, you will definitely be a little weaker than me. Chen Hao's chubby face was full of disdain. Unfortunately, no matter how one looked at it, it felt like he was just bragging. It couldn't be helped. Wuxia Xianxia's acting skills were more impressive than his strength. The aura he created was so strong that even Chen Hao felt that Wuxia Xianxia was not inferior to himself. He was indeed a proud and principled genius. "Hello, sister." The only girl in the Carnage Battle team, Yin Susu, looked at Chen Si and greeted her. Si Xian nodded slightly and looked at Chen Hao with a questioning gaze. Until now, she didn't know what Chen Hao had experienced in the assessment square over the past few years. And from the looks of it, they seemed to be very familiar with Fatty. "Hello, sister-in-law. I am Ao Qian. I hit it off with brother Fatty at first sight. Now we are closer than brothers. Sister-in-law, do you have any sisters? If you don't, cousins are fine too. Please introduce me." However, before Chen Hao could introduce them, the skinny monkey, Ao Qian, appeared directly in front of the two of them like a ghost. He said with a flattering and shameless expression, "Damn it. Skinny monkey, you are talking about brother Fatty." What surprised Si Xian, Chen Hao, Ao Qian, and the members of the Carnage Battle team was that Ling Feng suddenly appeared and looked at Ao Qian with disdain. Ao Qian glared. Ling Feng said with disdain. As he spoke, he stroked his bangs and looked at Si Xian. "Sister-in-law, brother Fatty and I hit it off at first sight. We have many similarities. If brother Fatty wasn't so handsome, we would be the same person. I'm ashamed. If sister-in-law has a sister like you can consider introducing her to brother Fatty first." "Fuck, do you have any integrity?" Ao Qian was angry. "Integrity? What is that? How much is 500 grams? Ling Feng said with an evil eye. "Shameless. Thank you for the compliment." Si Xian looked at the two people who were more shameless than the other and was speechless. However, she was surprised. She could clearly feel the strength of Ao Qian and Ling Feng. As soon as the two of them introduced themselves, Si Xian, who had come to see the pagoda monument, matched up with them. Ao Qian was ranked 4th and Ling Feng was ranked 3rd. "Si Xian, these are my friends. This is the captain of the Carnage Battle team, Su Tao. These are the members of the Carnage Battle team, Gong Chao, Guda, Wang Qingfeng, and Yin Susu. I don't know these two people who have no integrity and no integrity. Don't bother about them." Fatty glared at the two of them and said without giving them any face. "Is that so? Fatty, why do I feel that you are the one who is birds of a feather flock together?" Chapter 12:15. How is that possible? I'm such a pure person, but I'm completely different from them. Fuck, it can't be, right? Chen Hao, who was joking with Ling Feng, Ao Qian, and the others, suddenly shook the fat on his face. He stared at the cultivators around him. It couldn't be helped. Whether it was the fatty's abnormal talent, Si Xian's immortal appearance, or the appearance of the captain of the Starlight Squad, Wuxia Xianxia, they all made Chen Hao and Si Xian the focus of everyone's attention. Chen Hao, who disguised as a fatty, didn't have a face problem. Naturally, he didn't care about being surrounded by people. However, Si Xian was different. How could Chen Hao let Si Xian be surrounded by countless animals? Some people's gazes made Chen Hao's balls ache. However, there was no other way. The strength of the great world of Xiandi made the people of the immortal emperor realm much more abnormal than the people of ancient chaos. It should be known that in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, even below the first 4 levels of Cutting Dao True Immortal, there were very few people who really became Taoist companions. Basically, they were just in name or occupying a position. Those who really intertwined freely with yin and yang were definitely rookies who had exhausted their talent and potential. Under such circumstances, the men and women here naturally felt more strongly about the opposite sex than in ancient chaos. Moreover, the proportion of playful feelings was undoubtedly the largest under the 4th level of Cutting Dao True Immortal. After the dispute between the fatty and Wuxia Xianxia ended, the students of Dahua University swarmed over. Chen Hao was shocked. Aren't they too enthusiastic? Junior brother Ling Feng, hello. Brother Ling Feng, can we get to know each other? Junior brother Ao Qian, brother Ao Qian, are you interested in joining our Pure Sun squad? Junior brother Ling Feng, how about this sister show you around? Miss Een, hello. Junior sister Een Su, hello. Brother Su, hello. Handsome men and beautiful women, the Dahua Musicians Association welcomes you. After entering the Musicians Association, you can hear the strongest voices in the world. Some are violent, some are gentle, some are full of killing intent, and some are pure spiritual enjoyment. Jade people played the flute, fairies played the zither. In short, you could find any sound you wanted here. Music associations, music complemented the Tao, and even enter the Tao through music. The great Tao of Sanskrit is a common occurrence. Handsome men and beautiful women, sign up quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Great Hua Painting and Calligraphy Association. Once you enter the Painting and Calligraphy Association, you will be able to see the world's most ancient calligraphy and paintings. Where do the runes and Tao marks originate from? The ancient inheritance of calligraphy and painting contain the origin and essence of rune Tao marks. This was the great Tao, the true great Tao. Did you see the words Dao Yuo Jingxian at the top of the ranking tower? This is what our dean wrote. It doesn't contain any Tao marks, it is the most ancient calligraphy. Sense it carefully. What did you sense? Have you ever heard of a mysterious spell? Do you know about the evil curse? It was a kind of Tao that was in the Tao but also beyond the Tao. It was the Tao of curse. Do you want to uncover its mysterious veil? Please join the Amplification Spell Association. If you don't want to die a wrongful death for no reason, come. What is the origin of battle skills? Where does the divine ability law originate from? If you want to have super powerful battle skills and display 200%, 300%, 400%, or even 500% of your battle strength, then join the Immortal Emperor's newest, hottest, and most promising research association, the Ancient Martial Arts Association. There is a kind of power that is different from the divine ability law. It surpasses the heavenly Tao and reincarnation. No matter if it is a space with abundant heaven and earth energy, or a world with scarce heaven and earth energy, a grain of sand, a speck of dust, can produce huge destructive power. It has many things and advantages that the divine ability law cannot do. It can become the greatest reliance for cultivators to increase their strength. It is called science. Join the Science Association and achieve the great Tao of perfection. Chen Hao and Si Xian, the two serious newcomers who knew very little about the Immortal Emperor's world, were immediately dumbfounded. Especially Chen Hao, he was so shocked that his fat body trembled. At the beginning, many cultivators who were obviously older students, men and women, were enthusiastic and unrestrained, as well as showing their goodwill to Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Su Tao, Yin Su, and the others. This was already very exaggerated, but the next group of people who wantonly spread the news shocked the two. It made Chen Hao feel like when he first entered a university on Earth. At that time, the senior brothers, sisters, and various student associations, weren't they fighting for people? But what really shocked Chen Hao was the content of these associations. Music Association, Calligraphy and Painting Association, Incantation Association, Ancient Martial Arts Association, Science and Technology Association, Music Association and Calligraphy and Painting Association were still okay. The sound wave divine ability law, calligraphy and painting runes, and other Tao marks were also cultivation methods in ancient chaos. It was just that they were not as clearly separated as here. But the Incantation Association, which involved ancient curses and was on par with fate and other mysterious things in the world, as well as the Ancient Martial Arts Association and Science and Technology Association that only existed on Earth, had actually appeared here. How could Chen Hao not be shocked? Sorry, I'm not a casual person. Don't surround me, make way. Ling Feng, who was surrounded by many women enthusiastically, thought that he was very suave, and he was indeed suave. He stroked the bangs on his forehead and swept his gaze across the women. As he spoke, he walked directly to the recruitment team of the International Musicians Association. Brother, my strongest skill is sound wave technique, and I usually don't use it. I'm a little interested in the International Musicians Association. What are the conditions? It's obvious that he has taken a fancy to the beauties of the International Musicians Association. Bastard. Ao Qian, who had arrived in front of the International Musicians Association at the same time, looked at Ling Feng, who had spoken before him, with disdain, and cursed in his heart. In addition to the cultivators who were loudly promoting the International Musicians Association, there were more than 10 women with first-class looks, figures, and temperaments, as well as several handsome men. Moreover, they all had very strong auras. It was obvious that this was the International Musicians Association's facade, specially used to attract newcomers. Junior brother Ling Feng, although our conditions are harsh, there's no problem for you. You don't need to go through a 3-level interview, you can directly become a member of the International Musicians Association. Hello, Junior brother Ling, welcome to the International Musicians Association. The person in charge of recruitment of the International Musicians Association said excitedly to Ling Feng without even thinking about it. The gorgeously dressed beauties of the International Musicians Association had friendly and slightly charming expressions, expressing great interest in Ling Feng. Junior brother Ao Qian, are you interested? You and junior brother Ling Feng are both top geniuses in this batch. Even in our Dehua college, you are definitely the top. Therefore, you don't need to go through an interview. The person in charge of recruitment looked at Ao Qian and said, I'm interested. If there are no restrictions, I'll join. If there are restrictions on joining other associations, then it's up to me. Ao Qian suddenly pointed at the fatty not far away. Chapter 12:16. Looking at brother Fatty? Looking at me? The people from the International Musicians Association, Ling Feng, Chen Hao, and the people from the Blood Carnage sect all looked at Ao Qian. In the past few years in the assessment square, Ao Qian had shown an extremely strong interest in the fatty. From the beginning to the end, he had called Chen Hao brother Fatty. However, in the eyes of everyone, including Chen Hao, they did not think that a genius like Ao Qian would really submit to someone else. At most, it was just a name. But now Ao Qian had actually said so. This was not as simple as just saying it. It was obvious that Ao Qian really wanted to follow the fatty. Although Ao Qian was ranked 4th in this batch of testers, it was because Chen Hao, Ling Feng, and Xue Fian had appeared. In fact, in the eyes of all the disciples of the University of Dehua, the 4 of them were definitely monstrous geniuses who were fighting for the top 10 of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. Who would really be convinced by them? However, Ao Qian had actually publicly expressed his intention to follow Chen Hao in choosing an association. In fact, no matter the grade of the academy, the recruitment requirements of the various associations were not something that ordinary cultivators could join. Even the worst association would only recruit cultivators who were more outstanding in the academy or disciples who specialized in a certain aspect. Similarly, because of the competition between associations, many associations required that once a member joined, they could not join other associations. Ao Qian was very clear about this. That was why he said such words. This fatty has such a strong charm? Ling Feng, Xue Fian, the people from the Blood Carnage sect, the cultivators from the International Musicians Association, and the surrounding cultivators, including Wan Yishui and the others who were hesitating, were all surprised. Especially Ling Feng. Fatty's talent is just a little stronger. In other aspects, especially his appearance and temperament. Cough cough, I still don't know what Fatty's true appearance is like. However, it's impossible for him to be more handsome than me. He's definitely not as good as me. Why didn't Ao Qian, this skinny monkey, follow me? Birds of a feather flock together. The 3 of us obviously have very similar natures. Ling Feng rubbed his chin and stared at Ao Qian. He despised Ao Qian for being blind. Junior brother Li Yuan, are you interested in joining the International Musicians Association? The cultivator in charge of recruitment hesitated for a moment before asking Chen Hao. For a monstrous genius like Fatty, any association would fight to get their hands on him. After all, he was the strongest participant in this batch of Daluo Golden Wonderland testers. Furthermore, he had achieved a result that was hard to come by in a million years. Any association that could get their hands on him would be glorious. However, due to the conflict between Fatty and Murong Qianhua, the cultivators in charge of recruitment from the various associations were in a dilemma. Murong Qianhua's influence as the captain of the Starlight Battle team was too great. Thus, of course, there was the International Musicians Association, Soundwave Technique. I, Fatty, am a born soundwave genius. If I don't join your International Musicians Association, it will definitely be the loss of your International Musicians Association, Dehua College, Dehua Star, and even the great world of Xiandi. Chen Hao rubbed his fists and rubbed his palms together as if he was very excited and awesome. Shu, brother Fatty, we know you're awesome. Can you be a little more humble? The members of the Carnage Battle team stared at each other. Ao Qian's face was full of admiration and excitement. Fuck, I'm telling the truth. What is this Fatty bragging about? Ling Feng secretly despised him. Si Xian frowned and didn't say anything. She didn't know what Chen Hao was going to do, but she knew that this damn Fatty seemed to be completely shameless. Although most of the cultivators knew that there was nothing that Fatty couldn't learn with his monstrous talent, Fatty's bragging was a little too much. Really? Then, that's great, that's great. Junior brother Li Yuan, you're the first in this test, and your test results are a rare heaven-defying result in Dehua College. You don't need a 3-level interview. The cultivator in charge of recruitment from the International Musicians Association had already decided to recruit Fatty, so he didn't hesitate and said directly, "Wait, I'm not done yet. Other than the International Musicians Association, I also want to join the Science and Technology Association." Everyone originally thought that since Fatty was working so hard and bragging so much, he naturally wanted to join the International Musicians Association because his sound wave talent was very strong. However, they didn't expect Fatty to say that again, which made many people frown. Someone from the Science and Technology Association, who was still hesitating whether to fight for Fatty, exclaimed, "Science and Technology Association, Science and Technology, I, Fatty, am a natural-born science and technology fanatic. If I don't join your Science and Technology Association, it will definitely be your Science and Technology Association, Dehua College, Dehua Star, and even the great world of Xiandi's loss." Crash. Fuck, this Fatty is actually so shameless. It was almost the same as the International Musicians Association's words. It made the International Musicians Association, the Science and Technology Association, and the surrounding cultivators speechless. However, what was even more speechless was Ancient Martial Arts Association, Ancient Martial Arts. I, Fatty, am a natural-born ancient martial arts freak. If I don't join your Ancient Martial Arts Association, it will definitely be your Ancient Martial Arts Association, Dehua College, Dehua Star, and even the great world of Xiandi's loss. Painting and Calligraphy Association, Painting and Calligraphy. I, Fatty, am a natural-born calligraphy and calligraphy talent. If I don't join your Painting and Calligraphy Association, it will definitely be your Painting and Calligraphy Association, Dehua College, Dehua Star, and even the great world of Xiandi's loss. Ling Feng was dumbfounded. He stroked his handsome bangs and froze in midair. He stared at Fatty, who had a big belly, clenched his fists, and spittle flying all over the sky. Si Xian, whose hand was held by Chen Hao, stood side by side. Her face was flushed red. She almost covered her face and told everyone that she didn't know this shameless Fatty. "Brother, my dear brother, can you at least change your words? Even if we're bragging, we have to be more serious." Monkey Aoshi's eggs were shattered all over the ground. He regretted expressing his admiration and trust for Fatty in public just now. He was a model of having no moral integrity and no bottom line. He was really too shameless. "Damn Fatty, you're really shameless." Wan Yishui, who was still wondering if he should get back at him, cursed in his heart. Then he turned around and left. Such a shameless and powerful person. Who knew what would happen if he sparred with him in public? What if he was still inferior to him? Wan Yishui felt that he shouldn't lower himself to the same level as such a shameless person for the time being. Incantation Association. Fatty continued. However, just as Fatty finished talking about the Incantation Association, A voice rose from the crowd and suppressed Fatty. It continued Fatty's words, "Incantation, I, Fatty, am a natural-born genius in incantation. If I don't join your incantation association, it will definitely be your incantation association." Fuck, who stole Lord Fatty's lines? Can you be more serious? Genius. Immortal genius. It should be immortal. Fatty, who was correcting the person, suddenly stopped. He stared in the direction of the voice and scratched his head awkwardly. Chapter 12:17. Hello, Teacher Tan. Teacher Tan, long time no see. In the crowd, many senior students of the Real Martial Arts Pavilion cupped their fists and saluted Tan Linhai, who suddenly appeared in the crowd. Tan Linhai was the teacher who brought Chen Hao and Si Xian from the Real Martial Arts City to the University of Doha. Tan Linhai nodded slightly to the cultivators who saluted him. Without saying much, he walked towards the embarrassed Chen Hao with a smile on his face. Teacher Tan? At this moment, a woman's voice sounded softly. Tan Linhai suddenly stopped, looked to the side, and said, "Ishui, why are you here?" "I know. You little girl." Hearing Tan Linhai's words, Wan Ishui suddenly blushed and lowered her head slightly. Fortunately, Tan Linhai did not say much and walked towards Chen Hao again. "Little Fatty, the assessment results are unexpected. You flatter me, Teacher Tan. I knew you were not bad, but I still did not expect you to be so good. Not to mention me, even the pavilion master did not expect it. Well, Xianxia is also not bad. The pavilion master asked me to invite the two of you to come over and meet first." Tan Linhai stared at Chen Hao with bright eyes and said, "Invite," very clearly, but without the slightest sarcasm. This was specially instructed by the pavilion master, and Tan Linhai was just conveying the pavilion master's intention. Even Tan Linhai did not expect this when he brought Chen Hao and Si Xian 7 years ago. At that time, he recommended Chen Hao to the pavilion master because Chen Hao did indeed have a strong talent and potential. Secondly, it was because of his old friend Du Minghui. And Du Minghui regarded Chen Hao as a junior of the vast thousand chaotic world, so he intended to help him. Who would have thought that he would pick up a heaven-defying monster? Little Fatty's heaven-defying results were far beyond Tan Linhai's expectations. Even 7 years ago, when the news that Little Fatty defeated the genius girl of the Real Martial Arts Pavilion, Wan Ishui, they did not expect him to be so heaven-defying. When he received the test results, the pavilion master of the Real Martial Arts Pavilion was shocked and immediately summoned Tan Linhai and asked him to bring Chen Hao and Si Xian to meet first. There was naturally a reason why he was in such a hurry to meet her. Chen Hao's assessment results, especially his potential value and combat strength value, would place him in the top ranks of the top academies. Even in the top academies, Chen Hao was an existence that defied the heavens. Such a heaven-defying monster would inevitably cause the 10 great pavilions of Dahua Academy to fight over him. He might even attract the favor of some old fellows of Dahua Academy, who would care whether or not he was specially recruited by the true martial pavilions. They all belonged to the same academy, but when they encountered a true monstrous genius, the 10 great pavilions would definitely fight over him. "Teacher Tan, there's no need to be so courteous. If the pavilion master wishes to see us, just summon us. We'll be there immediately," Chen Hao said hurriedly. Hee. Hearing Chen Hao's words, Tan Linhai smiled and nodded. He secretly praised this little fatty for being good at talking. "That's good. Brother Tan, long time no see. Brother Tan, your speed is really fast." Just as Tan Linhai was about to leave with Chen Hao and Si Xian, several streams of light suddenly cut through the void and appeared beside Tan Linhai and Chen Hao. One by one, they greeted Tan Linhai. "Why are all of you here?" Tan Linhai frowned slightly. Brother Tan, what are you saying? You can come, but we can't?" Hee, Brother Tan, in this batch of assessment, apart from the direct disciples of Dahua Academy, there are 3 monstrous geniuses who can deter the top academies. How can our pavilion master not be tempted? Most of the teachers from the various pavilions and cultivators present knew who these 3 people were. The first was naturally the fatty Li Yuan, the second was naturally the narcissistic Ling Feng, and the third was the monkey Ao Qian. As for Shui Fian and Murong Qianhua, who ranked first in the Grandmist Supremacy realm, they were direct disciples of Dehua Academy. They already belonged to someone else and were naturally not in the list of people fighting over them. The results of any of these three people would cause a sensation and be fought over in Dehua Academy. The various associations who were in charge of recruitment naturally stood aside at this time. The only thing they could do was to look at Fatty, Monkey, and Ling Feng with envy and jealousy. Li Yuan, right? Hello, I'm a teacher from Dehua Pavilion. Our pavilion master wants to meet you. Oh, and your cultivation partner, Xianxia. Ling Feng, right? Hello, our pavilion master also invites you to meet him. Ao Qian, right? Hee, our pavilion master also wants to meet you. At this time, an old man who was full of confidence directly ignored Tan Linhai and the others. His bright eyes swept across Fatty, Ling Feng, and Monkey as he spoke with a smile. Dehua Pavilion, Dehua Planet, Dehua Academy, Dehua Pavilion. Just from the names alone, one could determine the status and strength of Dehua Pavilion among the 10 great pavilions. Li Yuan, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, our pavilion master also wants to meet you. Don't be in a hurry to sign the contract or something. It's not too late to make a decision at the Hall of Transformation in 6 hours. Another old man said directly without thinking. Although Tan Linhai was arranged by the pavilion master to come over at the first moment, he didn't expect that he was still a step late and didn't bring Chen Hao and Si Xian away in advance. Indeed, it was as the pavilion master had guessed. This time, the various great pavilions were all the first to make a move. Little brother Li Yuan, our pavilion master is especially interested in you. As for special recruitment, I hope that you will treat it seriously. It's not bad to be affectionate and righteous, but your own future is undoubtedly more important. It's all Dehua Academy. No matter what you choose, no one will blame you. Little brother Li Yuan, our Dehua Pavilion Master, is the strongest existence among the 10 great pavilions. He thinks highly of you and is prepared to accept you as his personal disciple, including your cultivation partner. Little brother Ling Feng, our Pavilion Master, is especially little brother Ao Qian. The competition on the surface had already caused the surrounding cultivators to be envious, jealous, and hateful. However, the teachers sent by the various great pavilions secretly transmitted messages to Chen Hao, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian. This caused the three's eyes to flicker nonstop and they were stunned. Even Si Xian's expression slightly changed a few times. Clearly, someone was using Si Xian to deal with Fatty. Little Fatty, Tan Linhai looked at Fatty, whose expression was constantly changing. He seemed to be very excited and fascinated. No matter how he looked at it, Fatty didn't seem like someone who would sacrifice his own interests for the sake of friendship. Teacher Tan, let's go. Tan Linhai was slightly stunned. Hello, Teacher Tan. Since Brother Fatty wants to go with you, I will also go with you to meet the Pavilion Master of the true Martial Pavilion. The Pavilion Master won't look down on me, right? Ao Qian, who was determined to follow Fatty, didn't hesitate to follow even though he had lost face due to Fatty's boasting just now. Moreover, it was under the circumstances that Tan Linhai didn't invite him. This caused the teachers from the other pavilions to be shocked and slightly unhappy. How could such a monstrous genius follow others blindly? Chapter 12:18. There was nothing wrong with Chen Hao and Si Xian following Tan Linhai to meet the Pavilion Master of the true Martial Pavilion. After all, both of them were specially recruited by the true Martial Pavilion. And now, Ao Qian was going to the true Martial Pavilion because of Fatty. Where did the arrogance of a monstrous genius go? They had already made it clear that their respective pavilions valued Chen Hao, Ao Qian, and Ling Feng. Even if the three of them went to the true Martial Pavilion, they might not really choose the true Martial Pavilion. However, meeting them before the official selection in the Great Hall would undoubtedly increase their chances. Little brother Ao Qian, why wouldn't the Pavilion Master like you? That's exactly what he wants. Let's go. Tan Linhai said, slightly surprised. The true Martial Pavilion specially recruited Chen Hao. Although there was competition, the chances of him entering the true martial pavilion were undoubtedly the highest. After all, Chen Hao was from the true martial city. Moreover, although the various pavilions were vying for him, the conditions that they could offer were very limited. At most, they could offer him the position of a personal disciple, a successor, and so on. Therefore, the real deciding factor was the comprehensive consideration of the various pavilions' strength, cultivation direction, and other factors. Therefore, because the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion had one of the three great geniuses, and the strongest one at that, he did not let Tan Linhai invite Ling Feng and Ao Qian. Otherwise, it would be too overboard. Yishui, since you're back, come with me to meet the pavilion master. Let's go. Swish. Tan Linhai did not hesitate any longer. He directly led the confused Wan Yishui, Chen Hao, Si Xian, and Ao Qian into the air. Fatty, monkey, wait. Swish. Since all of you are going to the true martial pavilion, it's too boring for me to go alone. What everyone did not expect was that Ling Feng, who was frowning and looking at Ao Qian with disdain, actually chased after them when he saw that the two of them were going to follow Tan Linhai to the true martial pavilion. It can't be. The three great geniuses, just the three great geniuses, are actually so close? This is too abnormal, right? Yes, under normal circumstances, isn't it difficult for two tigers to live on one mountain? For top monsters like them, even if they aren't enemies, it's normal for them to be the strongest competitors. This time, all the cultivators present were puzzled. Brother Fatty, Brother Monkey, Teacher Tan, can we go visit the true martial pavilion? Junior Su Tao, we're from the same team as Li Yuanjun, so we're not bad. Of course, welcome to the true martial pavilion. Tan Linhai said with a bit of happiness and excitement. Three monstrous geniuses had followed him at the same time. Although they didn't choose the true martial pavilion in the end, the effect was immediate. The aura of the people following them wasn't bad either. Furthermore, it was obvious that they had followed Fatty and Ao Qian. No one was surprised that someone from the Carnage Battle team would do such a thing. A true monstrous genius would undoubtedly have many followers. It was just like when Murong Qianhua revealed that he was the captain of the Starlight Battle team. From Chen Hao and Si Xian to Ao Qian and Ling Feng, the two monstrous geniuses, and then to Qi Shui's group of 5. Tan Linhai's group was almost there. Moreover, under Tan Linhai's lead, they quickly left the area. However, Teacher Tan, I want to take a look at the true martial pavilion too. What? Is Xue Fian from the true martial pavilion? Such a monstrous woman, she must have been groomed by a big shot from the 10 great pavilions. No one expected Xue Fian to jump into the air and chase after them. Xue Fian, a direct descendant of the University of Dehua, was the monstrous woman whose results were the closest to Fatty's in this assessment. Before she came out from the assessment square, she was undoubtedly the most anticipated candidate of the older students. She even surpassed Fatty, who was in first place. However, after she appeared, she disappointed everyone. The reason was simple. She didn't have an original Yin body. Even though many people coveted her heaven-defying talent, they only thought about it in their hearts. Everyone knew that she was a monstrous genius who had been occupied. However, at this moment, Xue Fian, who had disguised her appearance and aura and was in second place, but was excluded from the competition because of her identity as a direct descendant, was actually going to the true martial pavilion. How could a direct descendant have the right to choose? One explanation was that Xue Fian was a prodigy groomed by a reclusive big shot from the true martial pavilion, or she was occupied by a big shot from the true martial pavilion. Another possibility was that the big shot who groomed Xue Fian didn't belong to any pavilion, or he was a reclusive big shot from a higher position than the pavilion master of any pavilion. If this was the case, Xue Fian had the right to choose. This possibility was the most likely in the minds of the teachers who came to compete for the monstrous genius. Miss Xue. Tan Linhai, who was standing in the air, frowned as he looked at Xue Fian, who had caught up to him. Teacher Tan, you can call me by my name. All right, Xue Fian, are you a direct descendant of the true martial pavilion, or? I have the right to choose. Shui Fian smiled. It was supposed to be a charming smile, but unfortunately, it didn't look beautiful on her face at all. Only Fatty, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, and the others who had seen Shui Fian's real face could imagine it. Of course, Qin Hao could also see it now. However, Qin Hao wasn't that shameless, and he didn't have that kind of hobby. As expected, alright, we welcome you to the true martial pavilion. Let's go. Chi chi chi. Tan Linhai was excited, and he led the group forward quickly. Wan Yishui, who was also following behind Tan Linhai, glared at the fatty from time to time. Her limpid eyes seemed to have set off waves of clear blue waves. What was even more detestable was that the damn fatty, who had two different appearances in front of him and behind him, completely ignored his existence. Hello, senior sister Shui. I'm Ao Qian, nice to meet you. If there's a chance, I'd like to see senior sisters by. Hello, Miss Yishui. I'm Ling Feng, it's my fortune to meet Miss Yishui. Miss Yishui, Mei Dai Chunshan, Autumn Water Eyes. Before Ao Qian could finish speaking, Ling Feng stroked his bangs and stepped in front of the skinny Ao Qian. It could be said that he had inserted himself between Ao Qian and Wan Yishui as he spoke. Ao Qian, who was dressed like an earthling, immediately raised his middle finger and pointed it at Ling Feng's back to show his disdain. Then, his figure flashed and he gave Ling Feng a taste of his own medicine. He stood between Ling Feng and Wan Yishui and said again, Senior sister Shui, Buddha said that the 500 glances of the previous life were exchanged for the brushing of shoulders in this life. And now, we're fated to meet even. That's exchanged for millions, billions, or even trillions of glances. In the vast sea of people, for eternity. Monkey, you didn't do anything in your previous life, and you just looked back? Pa. Ling Feng laughed. Chapter 12:19. Description, metaphor, understand? Monkey's face turned red, expressing his strong disdain for Ling Feng. How could this guy do whatever he saw him do, and even do it against him? In the vast sea of people, there is only one sigh. What is love? It makes people live and die together. The world of mortals is turbulent, destined for 3 lives. Looking back, that person is in the waning light. Ling Feng ignored Ao Qian's roar and continued Ao Qian's words, gazing affectionately at Wan Yishui. It was a pity, scram. Wan Yishui could not bear it anymore. Wan Yishui, who was already glaring at Ao Qian and Ling Feng, turned redder and redder. She had seen shameless people, but she had never seen such shameless people. What was this if not flirting in front of everyone? And it was in front of teacher Tan Linhai. What was even more outrageous was that the two of them, whether it was Ao Qian or Ling Feng, completely ignored her gradually angry expression and glare. At this time, uncle could endure, aunt could not endure, and there was no need to endure. Ling Feng, who thought that he was extremely handsome, was suddenly stunned by Wan Yishui's simple and crude scram. How could he pinch her like this? How could he pinch her like this? His brother was handsome and elegant, and his demeanor was peerless. To praise a young girl in public like this, even if she did not throw herself into his arms, she should be secretly happy. How could there be a mistake? This was simply a joke. Haha. Senior sister Shui, well scolded, well scolded. Big brother, I am most disgusted by this kind of person who is more handsome than me, but still wants to show off. You, scram too. Ao Qian's complacent laughter suddenly stopped. None of you are good. Shameless, shameless, don't think that all the women in the world should revolve around you just because your talent is stronger. And you, damn fatty, don't think that you can pretend not to know me in front of your Dao companion. Sooner or later, I will settle the score with you. The sanctimonious fatty, who was secretly laughing, did not expect Wan Yishui to take advantage of the situation and point the spearhead at him. He pretended to be surprised and cried out, revealing a look of panic. He hid behind Si Xian and said, Senior sister Yishui, we are just fighting in the arena. What do you want? I have a Dao companion. You, The all-purpose water was choked. It looked like she was going to do something to him. Not to mention that she wasn't a tomboy. Even if she was, she wouldn't be blind, right? No matter how talented he was just an ugly fatty. She had no interest in a fatty, let alone a person with a Dao companion. Youngsters these days? Tan Linhai, who was enveloping everyone with his divine ability, laws and energy, sighed inwardly. However, he pretended not to notice and did not get involved. The only feeling he had was that he was old and that there was a huge generation gap. In other words, these geniuses were too unique. What's going on? Xian, who didn't know what was going on but was being used as a shield, asked Xianhao telepathically. Fatty briefly introduced Wan Yishui to Xian. However, this guy naturally wouldn't introduce the so-called but divine technique. Therefore, in Xian's opinion, Wan Yishui was just unwilling to admit defeat after being tortured by Fatty. Wan Yishui held back for a long time before finally saying, "When I said settle the score, I meant to challenge you. I'm not blind, why would I fall for you?" There's no need to explain. Any explanation is a cover-up. CC, I'm not trying to pick a fight, but I can't stand it. She said you're blind. Fuck. Idle. Monkey's eyes widened. Fuck, isn't Brother Fatty too shameless? In Susu, the only female member of the Carnage Blood sect, was stunned. So wretched. Ling Feng and the other members of the Carnage Blood sect, as well as Xuefian, who also came over but was like a statue and didn't even make eye contact with them, all thought to themselves. Miss Chen-Si, I didn't mean that. Wan Yishui was defeated by Fatty once again and had no choice but to say this to Chen-Si. Her personality and temper were originally very good. She didn't dare to say that she lived up to her name, but she definitely wasn't the kind of person who would offend people easily. Even if Chen-Si was Fatty's Dao companion in name, she still didn't want to offend her. It's alright, don't lower yourself to his level. His shameless skills of pestering people are not something that women like us can compare to. Xian smiled slightly and shook her head. Thank you. Wan Yishui was attracted by Xian's beauty and temperament. After a moment of surprise, he calmed down and nodded slightly. We're here. This is the mountain gate of the true martial pavilion. At this moment, Tan Linhai suddenly said. His voice seemed to carry a subtle emotion. At the same time, he deliberately pointed at the mountain gate in the distance to attract everyone's attention. Looking up, a huge mountain gate appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It was like a towering mountain that covered the sky and blocked all the scenery. The only thing that could be seen was the majestic, vast, majestic and ancient pure gold mountain gate. The most eye-catching thing was above the mountain gate. It seemed to be engraved in the void with two large golden words, True Martial. Writing like dragons and snakes, the power penetrates the heavens. Boom. Boom. Boom boom boom. The instant they saw the two words, True Martial, that seemed to be written between the heavens and the earth, other than Wan Yishui, the senior, Xianhao, Xian, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, the members of the Carnage Battle Squad, and even the genius of the direct line of descent of the University of Dehua, Xuefian, all had a loud sound in their minds. Their entire minds were directly integrated into the profound meaning of the two words, True Martial. Yishui. While Wan Yishui was staring at Fatty Xianhao, Xuefian, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Xian, and the others, secretly estimating how long it would take for them to jump out of the oppressive illusion of the two words, True Martial, Tan Linhai suddenly transmitted his voice. Teacher Tan, what's wrong? Wan Yishui hurriedly replied. The pavilion master asked you to come with the little fatty and his Taoist companion. Perhaps there's a deeper meaning. You should know that the pavilion master is a true immortal king and has awakened many supernatural abilities. Teacher Tan, what do you mean? The pavilion master naturally won't tell me the details, let alone you. However, I'm guessing that the luck of the little fatty and the others has crossed paths. The little fatty, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian are all monstrous geniuses of the University of Dehua. Together with Xuefian, the four of them have the potential to become the top 10 experts of the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland. Compared to them, you're still lacking by a bit. Perhaps this is an opportunity for you. Moreover, to tell you the truth, even the pavilion master can't completely see through the little fatty. When Chen Hao was recommended to the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion, the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion was naturally aware of everything. Furthermore, before Chen Hao and Si Xian were brought to the assessment square by Tan Linhai, the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion had already secretly sized them up and knew that Fatty had hidden quite a lot. However, Fatty's current performance had completely exceeded the pavilion master's expectations. Chapter 12:21. It can't be! Wan Yishui was shocked. How sacred was the pavilion master? How could a super expert at the true immortal king realm who had awakened many special abilities be unable to see through the little fatty completely? But Wan Yishui knew that Tan Linhai would not lie to her. Tan Linhai continued, "That's the truth. Originally, the pavilion master only invited little fatty and his cultivation partner to negotiate in advance so that they would know. After all, with little fatty's talent, the other pavilions would not care whether he was specially recruited by us or not. Who would have thought that Ao Qian, Ling Feng and Xue Fian would come too? It's a little strange. After all, the true martial pavilion is much weaker than the Great Transformation Pavilion. Xue Fian is a direct descendant of the Great Transformation Pavilion, and she has the right to choose. This means that her retired master must be a high-level figure in the Great Transformation Pavilion. There is no reason for her not to choose the strongest and the one that represents the Great Transformation Pavilion. It seems that little fatty is more or less the reason. And Ling Feng and Ao Qian showed enough interest in you just now. Teacher Tan, what kind of interest is that? It's obviously teasing. Ha Yishui, you can't think like that. Why didn't they tease Xue Fian? Men, no matter what method or nature, as long as they express abnormal words to you, it proves that they are interested in you. There seems to be something between you and little fatty? I don't need you to answer. Actually, what I really want to tell you is, grab the opportunity for yourself, including little fatty. Grab one of the three and your future will be even brighter. So, being able to keep them in the true martial pavilion is undoubtedly the best. Teacher Tan, I understand. Thank you. Yishui. Tan Linhai was embarrassed. He did not expect Wan Yishui to be so smart and say what he wanted to say directly. This made him very embarrassed. After all, he did say this for Wan Yishui's sake, although more importantly for the true martial pavilion. Teacher Tan, you don't have to say any more. I know what to do, and I know that you are doing this for my own good. Wan Yishui smiled as if she really did not have any other thoughts. That's good. I won't ask you for anything. It's all up to you. I'm just telling you that there is such a thing. Even if you don't do anything, it's fine. I hope you understand this and don't blame teacher in your heart. Tan Linhai shook his head and said frankly, Teacher Tan, are monstrous geniuses really that important? Wan Yishui asked. That was true in the past, and even more so now. Even more now. In the past 1,000 years, many of the main cities on the 3,000 main planets of the great world of Xiandi have produced monstrous geniuses that are hard to come by in 1,000,000 years. Moreover, most of them are outsiders like Little Fatty, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian. Most of them are from the Daluo Golden Wonderland, and some from the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm. Such a grand occasion undoubtedly indicates the arrival of another grand occasion in the great world of Xiandi. Little Fatty, Xue Fian, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, and Murong Qianhua from the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm are undoubtedly the new monstrous geniuses that are hard to come by in 1,000,000 years in our university. They might have the opportunity to become one of the trendsetters of this era, and they woke up? Just as Wan Yishui was shocked by Tan Linhai's words, Tan Linhai suddenly exited the sound transmission state with her and asked in surprise. Phew, Xue Fian, who had disguised her appearance and aura to appear extremely ordinary, heaved a long sigh of relief. The moment she opened her dull eyes, 2 dazzling rays of light blossomed from them. Like 2 sharp swords, they cut through the profound meaning of the 2 words, true martial, out of thin air. The world regained its color in her eyes. Amazing! Xuefian, I didn't expect you to break free from the profound meaning of the true martial pavilion so quickly. 3 minutes and 49 seconds. This is the fastest record since the establishment of the true martial pavilion. At this moment, Tan Linhai was slightly taken aback and exclaimed in surprise. What the profound pressure illusion! The moment Si Xian opened her eyes, she muttered to herself. Immediately, Si Xian discovered that teacher Tan Linhai, Wan Yishui, and Xuefian were all looking at her in surprise. However, Chen Hao and the others' eyes were tightly shut. Obviously, they had not woken up yet. The three of them were indeed surprised. For Tan Linhai and Wan Yishui, they were surprised that Xuefian was the first to wake up because of how quickly she broke the record, not because she was the first to wake up. Although the profound meaning of the true martial entry could be considered a test, it was only a test in one aspect. It could not completely reflect one's talent, potential, and strength. However, just as Tan Linhai finished speaking, Chen Si was the second to wake up in just a few seconds. This was completely out of their expectations. The profound meaning of the true martial entry was based on one's realm. Si Xian, who was in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, encountered the profound meaning of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. She was no less relaxed than the people in the Daoyuo Golden Wonderland. However, Si Xian was faster than Chen Hao, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, and the others. How was this possible? It seems that Chen Si is not as simple as she seems. At this moment, Tan Linhai, Wan Yishui, and Xuefian's opinions of Chen Si changed again. Phew! The true martial entry test? That's pretty simple, cough cough. Ling Feng, who was the closest to Si Xian, suddenly opened her eyes and spoke. However, she only spoke a few sentences before she looked at Xuefian and Si Xian in astonishment, especially Si Xian. Ao Qian immediately woke up as well. No way, this should be the true martial pavilion's entry test, right? Could it be that Fat Bro's compatibility with the true martial pavilion's inheritance is too poor? Ao Qian said directly when he saw that Xuefian, Ling Feng, and Si Xian had all woken up, but Fatty had not. Obviously, in his opinion, there was no reason for Fatty to be surpassed by them. No, definitely not. You guys got rid of it too quickly. It's normal for you to wake up in 15 minutes. It's only been 5 minutes. Oh? That's right, they haven't woken up yet. That's easy to understand. Fat Bro was comprehending, not getting rid of it. Yes, that must be it. Otherwise, how could Fat Bro lose to someone? Ao Qian deliberately imitated Fatty's actions and stroked his forehead. Unfortunately, the trader's short hair did not have Fatty's style at all. Ta! Ling Feng laughed and stroked his hair again, saying, "What's so strange about Fatty losing to Big Bro? Big Bro, I have many powerful trump cards that I haven't revealed yet. Just because your results are better than Big Bro, you're better than Big Bro in everything? Naive child, go back and study properly before coming out to mingle." Fuck. Arrogant fellow, who are you talking about? Who's talking about Big Bro? Big Bro is talking about that. Do you have a problem with that? If you have a problem with it, then challenge Big Bro. The bet is to break your arm, break your leg, or cut off your penis. Chapter 12:22. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Just you wait. Once we're done here, I'll turn you into a pig's head. Ao Qian's face turned red. He wanted to fight with Ling Feng immediately, but he had to endure it. Firstly, this was not the time for a challenge. Secondly, Ao Qian did not have the slightest confidence that he could defeat Ling Feng. What else could he do? Okay, I'll wait for you. Let's see who'll turn into a pig's head. Pa. Ling Feng laughed arrogantly with his hands behind his back. Ao Qian snorted coldly, not showing any weakness. Everyone was speechless. Everyone could see that Ao Qian admired Fatty, but he did not like Ling Feng. He did not care about him at all, even though Ling Feng's test results were slightly higher than his. Ling Feng, on the other hand, did not respect anyone. Otherwise, he would not call Fatty Chen Hao. He even called Ao Qian, Chen Hao, and the others brother. However, no matter how much they disdained each other and even challenged each other to a battle, they did not give off the feeling of enmity. Su Tao, Gong Chao, Guida, Wang Qingfeng, and Yin Susu were the 5 members of the Carnage Battle team. Although they were not as outstanding as Chen Hao, Xue Fian, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian, they were still outstanding. At the 12th minute, they woke up one after another. Only Fatty was left. Could it be that he's really comprehending? Everyone began to suspect. After all, Fatty's terrifying test results were definitely strong in all aspects. He should not have been unable to break free from the illusion of true martial entry for so long. Looking at everyone's gaze, Si Xian, who was holding Chen Hao's hand, nodded slightly to everyone awkwardly as an apology. Then, she directly sent a wisp of energy into Chen Hao's hand. This was something that could not be helped. The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion had summoned them, and they had to gather at the large hall later. How much time could they have? However, Fatty was comprehending the true martial entry profound meaning at this time. Si Xian could only wake him up. You're all done? Fatty's body trembled, and he suddenly opened his eyes. He looked at Si Xian and the others in surprise. It's all done. Little Fatty, if you want to comprehend it, you'll have plenty of opportunities after joining the true martial pavilion. This is just the basic profound meaning of the true martial pavilion. How is it? Does it feel good? Tan Linhai asked with a faint smile. He didn't blame Fatty for not choosing the right time. On the contrary, from his point of view, Fatty's carefree nature as a martial arts fanatic was perhaps the root of his monstrous talent. Also, the basic profound of the true martial pavilion must be very attractive to Fatty. Otherwise, why would he enter a state of comprehension? Teacher Tan, I didn't comprehend it at all. I just felt comfortable. Chen Hao looked at Wan Yishui and said, Your azure silk jade ripple technique originated from here, right? You felt it? Wan Yishui said in surprise. Amazing. Tan Linhai also showed a surprised expression. What did it mean to feel comfortable without comprehending anything? That was the pressure of the true martial pavilion's basic profound. To little Fatty, it was like the surrounding air, completely unable to affect his heart. Only this way could he directly immerse himself in the profound of the Tao Mark profound. In other words, little Fatty didn't enter the illusory realm of the Tao Mark profound at all. Everyone was drunk, and he was the only one sober, transcending the illusory realm. Just this alone was already very amazing, but what was even more amazing was that he could actually sense the profound contained within the profound. Wan Yishui had spent several years comprehending the azure silk jade ripple technique. Fatty bro, can you not be so monstrous? Ao Qian said with an exaggerated expression. Damn, Fatty, if you're not amazing, will you shit? Ling Feng stroked his bangs and stared at Fatty. How could such a coquettish performance fall on Fatty every time? But even though he was unhappy, Fatty's performance made Ling Feng feel more and more helpless, monstrous. Xue Fian's eyes flickered. Like everyone else, she could only use this word to describe Fatty's monstrous talent. After a short interlude, under Tan Linhai's lead, everyone arrived at the core of the true martial pavilion, the true martial peak. It was also the tallest and largest peak of the true martial pavilion. The palace at the peak was the pavilion master's palace. Tan Linhai brought everyone to the middle of the mountain and landed on a platform. This is the peak ascension platform. We can only fly up to here. If we want to go up, we have to walk. The steps are densely packed with Tao marks. Even if they aren't activated, it will have a huge impact on cultivators. When activated, it will be difficult for cultivators to reach the peak. This is known as the true martial path in our true martial pavilion. Tan Linhai turned around and introduced to everyone. The reason why it's called this is because this peak ascension platform contains the Tao marks of our true martial pavilion's strongest divine ability law. It's activated once every 100 years, and it lasts for 3 years each time. When it's activated, all the disciples of the true martial pavilion can come here to cultivate. The disciples of the other 9 pavilions must be the chief disciples of their respective pavilions of the same cultivation level. To put it bluntly, only 9 people can come here. Everyone was a little surprised, especially Chen Hao, Si Xian, and the 5 members of the Carnage battle team. They were looking around excitedly. Rising clouds in one's chest, that's it. Below them, there were mountains surrounded by auspicious clouds. Above them, there were simple and unadorned steps that led to the peak of the mountain. The steps were densely packed with runes and surrounded by divine light. Around them, pure and thick heaven and earth spirit chi filled the air. Every breath was filled with boundless heaven and earth spirit chi. This was definitely a paradise on earth. Even Wan Yishui, who had been here before, was slightly excited. Not to mention Chen Hao and Si Xian, who had just arrived at the great world of Xiandi and did not have much experience. This was just the entrance to the Pavilion Master's Palace. What about inside the palace? What about the Dean of the University of Doha? What about the top universities? Chen Hao and Si Xian could not imagine. For such a powerful celestial mountain holy land, firstly, the expert who condensed it was not to be underestimated. Secondly, it was nourished by the heaven and earth spirit chi for billions of years. Thirdly, it was tempered by thousands of years of luck. Fourthly, it was continuously tempered by generations of masters. This was definitely not something that the great 1,000 worlds of ancient chaos could have. At least, it was impossible in a short period of time. Not to mention other things, at least the prototype runes were not something that Yi Lan and the others could refine. Similarly, it was impossible without the accumulation of time. However, Xuefian, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian were much calmer. They did not seem to feel much about the celestial mountain holy land. At most, they were curious about the true martial profundity that it contained. Obviously, such a celestial mountain holy land was not a powerful place for the 3 of them. I forgot to publish it after uploading it yesterday. Sorry. Chapter 12:23. When it opens, you can come and try. Of course, the prerequisite is that you have to join the true martial pavilion. Otherwise, you can only become the chief disciple of other pavilions. Let's go. Tan Linhai led the group up the stairs. Although the true martial path had not opened, the mysterious aura it contained still shocked Chen Hao and the others. What was more amazing was that every time they climbed up the stairs, it was as if they had entered a new world. The feeling was ever-changing, as if they were tasting all kinds of wine in the world. It was novel and intoxicating. Wan Yishui, who was only half a step behind Tan Linhai, was obviously very surprised. When she came here before, although she also had this feeling, it was definitely not so clear and wonderful, but when she received Tan Linhai's sound transmission, she understood what was going on. This was the Pavilion Master deliberately increasing the aura of the true martial path so that Fatty, Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Xuefian, and the others would have a deeper understanding of the true martial path. It was used to attract people to join the true martial pavilion. At full speed, they could pass through the true martial path in an instant, but it took them a full hour to pass through it. Even so, they still looked like they wanted to continue. However, they were soon attracted by the scenery at the peak. Strange flowers and herbs were everywhere. Divine fruits and divine trees stood among them. There were also waterfalls, springs, pavilions, and pavilions. It was too beautiful to be taken in. At the core of the peak, 9 layers of celestial light enveloped a hall. Greetings, Pavilion Master. Tan Linhai cupped his fists toward the hall from afar. Hearing Tan Linhai's words, everyone hurriedly gathered their thoughts and cheered themselves up. They looked in the direction of the hall in the middle. The Pavilion Master of the true martial pavilion was a real true immortal king. Although Ling Feng, Xuefian, Ao Qian, and the others had seen him before, they did not dare to act rashly at this moment. Chen Hao and Si Xian did not dare to act rashly. Chen Hao was slightly better. After all, when he was in the chaotic Great 1,000 world, he could be considered to have seen a true immortal king. In addition, in the second level of the ancient chaos void, he could be considered to have come into contact with a true immortal king. Although it was a remnant divine will that had lost most of its power after hundreds of millions of years, it still had the aura of a true immortal king. Si Xian was a little nervous. Firstly, Xian had never seen a true celestial king before. Secondly, it was all thanks to Chen Hao that Xian had been summoned by the pavilion master. She was very clear about this. There's no need to be so courteous. Not bad at all. I didn't expect all of you to be here. Come in. However, what Chen Hao, Xian, and the others didn't expect was that the voice that drifted out from the palace was actually extremely calm. It didn't have the slightest majesty of an immortal king, and it gave them the feeling that it was a senior that couldn't wait to see them. Chi. While the crowd was still immersed in astonishment, a brilliant immortal glow was emitted from the entrance of the palace following the voice of the master of the pagoda. It encapsulated the crowd. Following it, Chen Hao and the others found themselves inside the palace without noticing anything. What was even more miraculous was that Chen Hao and Xian discovered that Ling Feng, Ao Qian, and the others had disappeared from their side. Instead, they saw an old man sitting cross-legged in front of them, sizing them up with a smile. The old man didn't have the demeanor of a transcendent being that they had imagined. He looked very ordinary, and there wasn't any powerful aura emanating from his body. Ordinary, really too ordinary. However, it was precisely because the two of them felt that the old man was too ordinary that they could tell that he wasn't ordinary. This was especially true when the old man's smiling eyes clearly didn't contain any energy or divine ability laws. However, Chen Hao and Xian felt as if they had been seen through. The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion, who was carefully sizing up Chen Hao and Xian, suddenly stopped smiling. He frowned slightly, and then two brilliant rays of light suddenly shot out from his emotionless eyes and landed on Chen Hao and Xian. He looked slightly surprised. Disciple Li Yuan greets the pavilion master. Chen Hao, who felt uncomfortable all over, immediately cupped his fists and bowed. Disciple Chen Hao greets the pavilion master. Xian followed Chen Hao and bowed. Li Yuan Chen Hao. The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion nodded slightly and repeated Chen Hao and Xian's pseudonyms. He shook his head slightly and continued, "The two of you really surprised old man. Pavilion master, you flatter us." "It's not flattery. If he didn't see you with his own eyes, old man wouldn't have noticed." "Pavilion master? What do you mean?" Chen Hao frowned slightly. Although his expression was calm, he was directly shocked by the pavilion master's words. Could it be that he had discovered his disguise? Under normal circumstances, true immortal kings wouldn't be able to see through the ultimate form of the Great Change technique. Even existences beyond true immortal kings wouldn't be able to discover it easily. However, why did the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion seem to have discovered something when he saw him and Xian? 9 lives mystic technique, others may not be able to sense it, but Old Man is most familiar with it. Old Man is also receiving Ling Feng, Ao Qian, Xue Fian and the others who came with you, and they are all real. Chen Hao and Xian were shocked at the same time. Don't be surprised. When Old Man was young, he coincidentally obtained half of the mental cultivation method of the 9 lives mystic technique, which allowed him to achieve the achievement of true immortal king. Although Old Man only got the second half. This is the unique technique created by the Celestial River King. The Celestial River King left a total of 9,999 places of inheritance in the great world of Xiandi and many other worlds. There are also many people who have obtained the complete inheritance. Anyone who can obtain the complete inheritance can directly join the Celestial River King's family, the Xiao family, and become a disciple of the Xiao family. I didn't expect that it would appear in your chaotic world. Chen Si obtained the complete inheritance, right? The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion said. In the information obtained by the pavilion master of the real martial pavilion, although Chen Hao and Xian were outsiders who hid their true identities, Tan Linhai had already said that Chen Hao and Xian were from the chaotic colossal world when he recommended them to him. Both Chen Hao and Xian were shocked beyond words. For a moment, they did not know how to answer the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion. The 9 lives mystic technique, the Galaxy King, the Xiao clan. Although Yi Lan did not tell them anything about the master of the Shao clan's ancestor in the immortal Emperor Great Thousand World in the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World, and which force it was, when they heard the Pavilion Master's words, they instantly thought of the master of the Shao clan's ancestor. Pavilion Master, can you tell us who the Celestial River King is first? Is he very powerful? How can he leave his inheritance in other worlds? Chen Hao was stunned for a moment, then looked at the Pavilion Master and asked directly. Little fatty, you don't know the Celestial River King? Oh no. Si Xian and I have just stepped into the great world of Xiandi, and we came secretly before. So, our understanding of the great world of Xiandi is very limited. The fatty scratched his head awkwardly. Chapter 12:24. That's true. Then, old man will explain it to you. Star River King, Shao Xinghe, was one of the 8 great king-level powerhouses hundreds of millions of years ago. His battle prowess was unparalleled throughout the ages. He could be said to be the strongest person in the great world of Xiandi. Don't you think he's powerful? It is said that Star River King has never tasted defeat since he stepped into the cultivation world. All the cultivators in the great world of Xiandi think that Star River King is the most promising person to become an immortal emperor. Nowadays, although Star River King rarely shows up, it is said that he has already reached the quasi-emperor realm. Powerful, really powerful. Of course. Which of the 8 great king-level powerhouses wasn't an amazing talent? Unfortunately, there can only be one person on the path to becoming an immortal emperor. Up to now, only Star River King and King Ying are still alive. Wind King, Power King, Sword King, and the other 6 great king-level powerhouses have disappeared for many years. It is said that it was done by Star River King. Only King Ying stayed because the Star River King and King Ying were childhood sweethearts. Moreover, although King Ying's battle prowess is not as good as Star River King's, it is impossible for Star River King to attack King Ying. Everyone in the world knows that King Ying is Star River King's favorite. The two should be a match made in heaven, but what is strange is that King Ying is still unwilling to be together with his childhood sweetheart Star River King. Cuff old man said too much. There is no other way. This is something that all the cultivators in the great world of Xiandi are curious about. There are also rumors that it is related to the ancient Chaos world. This is also the reason why Star River King ordered the ancient Chaos world to be a forbidden area. As for the cultivators of the ancient Chaos boundless world, hundreds of millions of years ago, they were most famous for, why did I mention this again? Well, as for your question about how the Celestial River King could leave behind an inheritance in another boundless world, it is even simpler. Star River King is now the strongest person in the great world of Xiandi. Where can he not go? What's more, there are cultivators from other worlds who are willing to take him there. When the Pavilion Master of the True Martial Pavilion talked about the Celestial River King, he could not help but talk about the biggest regret of the Celestial River King's life. Or rather, it was incomplete. Until now, he had not been able to be together with Prince Ying, and the rumors about the ancient Chaos boundless world. In fact, the cultivators of the great world of Xiandi, as long as they mentioned the Star River King, would think of the 8 great emperors, and talk about King Ying and the Star River King. Naturally, they would also talk about the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World that was sealed as a forbidden area by the Star River King, as well as someone who came from the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World. However, the Pavilion Master of the True Martial Pavilion had no idea how excited Chen Hao and Si Xian were after hearing his words, especially Si Xian, who was Prince Ying. Even though Yi Lan had never mentioned it to her, as Yi Lan's only disciple who was treated like a daughter, and having followed Yi Lan for so many years, how could Si Xian possibly be unfamiliar with the word Ying? In Yi Lan's cultivation room, Yi Lan's bedroom, and so on, as long as it was her master's private space, the word Ying could be seen everywhere. It was just that Si Xian did not know the meaning of this word in Yi Lan's heart. Now, hearing the words of the Pavilion Master of the True Martial Pavilion, Si Xian vaguely guessed a possibility. Then there was the most famous cultivator from the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World hundreds of millions of years ago in the great world of Xiandi. Who could it be? Yilan. Almost immediately, Chen Hao and Si Xian guessed that it was Yilan. They just needed to confirm it.
Oh, is it?
Pavilion Master, who was the most famous cultivator from the ancient chaos Great Thousand World hundreds of millions of years ago. I heard my master mention that when he was in the great world of Xiandi, he was once saved by an expert from the ancient chaos Great Thousand World, called Yilan. Chen Hao hesitated for a moment, and then threw out the information he had obtained in the ancient chaos Great Thousand World. Little fatty, you're right. It's Yilan. Back then Yilan's combat strength, talent, and potential could be said to be famous in the great world of Xiandi. Before the 8 great regal experts were crowned as regal kings, Yilan had interacted with them, especially King Ying and King Fengling, who had cultivated and experienced with Yilan for more than 1,000,000 years. Before Yilan and the 8 great regal experts were crowned as regal kings, his fame was only second to the Star River King, and he was considered the strongest competitor on the path to becoming an immortal emperor. However, before Yilan stepped into the true immortal king realm, he disappeared without a trace. After that, the Star River King ordered the killing of all cultivators from the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World, and listed the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World as a forbidden area, and no cultivators were allowed to approach it. The great world of Xiandi also became a forbidden area for cultivators from the ancient Chaos Great Thousand World. No one knew the specific reason for this secret except for King Fengling and the others who had died or escaped from the great world of Xiandi. I didn't expect your master to know Yilan. It seems that your master is not simple. The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion said in surprise. Pavilion master, you flatter me. My master is only at the 6th heaven of the cutting Dao true immortal realm, and is far inferior to you. Did your master mention anything else about Yilan to you? That's not true. Back then, when master was talking to me about who he owed in his life, he mentioned that Yilan saved his life in the immortal emperor's great thousand world. Chen Hao said, and then glanced at Si Xian imperceptibly and continued, Pavilion Master, of the 8 great king-level experts, are there only the Star River King and King Ying now? Yes. There are only the Star River King and King Ying in the great world of Xiandi. However, it can also be said that, even if King Fengling, Saber King, Sword King and the others are still alive, I'm afraid they won't come to the great world of Xiandi again, or they don't have the ability to come, or they will travel the endless starry sky to find other immortal paths. The winner takes all. The Star River King is already a quasi-emperor, then what about King Ying? He's also very strong, isn't he? I don't know if he has advanced to the quasi-emperor level, I only know that he is very strong. The Jade Maiden Palace founded by King Ying sends envoys to the final round of the Academy ranking competition every 1,000 years to select genius disciples. Every time, they will select women who are top-notch in appearance, figure, aptitude, and have the immortal bloodline. The Jade Maiden Palace is the only force in the great world of Xiandi that can challenge the Shao family. First, the disciples of the Jade Maiden Palace are indeed very strong and very large. What is more amazing is that the Jade Maiden Palace has established many bases in the endless chaotic space. Although I don't understand the significance of the Jade Maiden Palace doing this, but the strength to establish a base in the depths of the chaotic space is shocking. Secondly, in today's world, the only one who dares to challenge the Shao clan, which is to say, challenge the Star River King, is Prince Ying. Unfortunately, Prince Ying has not appeared in the world of cultivation for a long, long time. Jade Maiden Palace? Pavilion Master? Is it mysterious? Chen Hao asked. The Pavilion Master of the true martial pavilion was a little surprised by the fatty's question, shook his head slightly, and said, It's the Jade of the Jade Pearl Acupoint. Why, little fatty, are you interested in the Jade Maiden Palace? Unfortunately, the Jade Maiden Palace only recruits women. Chapter 1225. I'm just a little interested in the disciples of the Jade Maiden Palace. Cece has the immortal bloodline, but it's not very pure. Ha! You little fatty. Chen Si does indeed have the immortal bloodline, so it doesn't matter if it's pure or not. As long as she has the aura of the immortal bloodline, she meets the basic condition of the Jade Maiden Palace. In the future, Xianxia still has a great chance. The old man can feel that your original body has not fully integrated with the second life. Otherwise, even if the old man cultivates the 9 lives profound technique, it would be difficult to detect. Secondly, your original body and the second life shouldn't have relied on any elixirs to cultivate step by step, right? You should have obtained the complete inheritance of the 9 lives profound technique, because your integration is much better than the old man's. It will be better in the future. Not to mention how many more you can condense. Just now, your original body and the second life have fully integrated. Maybe there's hope for you to be chosen by the Jade Maiden Palace. Of course, if you obtain the complete inheritance of the 9 lives profound technique, you can directly join the Xiao family, which is stronger than the Jade Maiden Palace. Of course, this is all in the future. The old man wants to know, little fatty, have you cultivated the 9 lives profound technique? Chen Hao was slightly taken aback. He originally thought that the old man had also sensed that he cultivated the 9 lives profound technique, but now it seemed that he had overestimated the old man's eyesight. At the same time, Chen Hao understood that the camouflage ability of the Great Change technique was indeed extraordinary. No, my Daluo Golden Wonderland hasn't been truly perfected. How can I be in the mood to cultivate the 9 lives? Besides, I don't have the patience. The most important thing is to quickly improve my realm. The fatty said firmly. Well, that's true. With your talent and potential, you really don't need to rely on the 9 lives profound technique. To put it bluntly, the 9 lives profound technique is just a disguised way to delay one's lifespan and increase one's experience and comprehension. If one's aptitude and comprehension exceed the limit that the 9 lives profound technique can bring, it is completely meaningless. Alright, since we've talked so much, let's get down to business. All of you have already seen the competition between the 10 pavilions of Dehua Academy. Especially for a top genius like you, little fatty, you will definitely cause a lot of competition. The fact that Xianxia possessed the 9 lives profound technique had not been exposed. If others knew about it, it would naturally cause a scramble. After all, it meant that Xianxia could become a disciple of the Celestial River King in the future. What's more, Xianxia also had the immortal bloodline. The old man will make this short and straightforward. Being able to recruit the 2 of you is a kind of fate in itself. The old man hopes that the 2 of you will choose the true martial pavilion. The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion's gaze paused on Chen Hao and Si Xian's faces for a moment before he continued, because the treatment system of Dehua Academy is jointly set by the headmaster, vice headmaster, elders, as well as the pavilion masters and vice pavilion masters of the 10 great pavilions. This old man and the other pavilion masters of the other pavilions are unable to give you any more benefits in terms of treatment. The only thing we can do is to give you special abilities and absolute arts. I dare not guarantee anything else, but the old man can guarantee that as long as you can learn something, I can teach it to you. In terms of cultivation, if there is anything you do not understand, you can look for the old man at any time. Of course, if I can give you this condition, the other pavilion masters can do the same. In the end, it is up to you to choose. If you are willing to be a direct disciple, the old man naturally has no problem. I can also give you magic treasures. But the old man has always believed that the fate of a master and disciple is exchanged for benefits. It is meaningless. If you have any ideas, you can say it. This? Pavilion Master, what ideas can we have? If it wasn't for the fact that Pavilion Master took a fancy to us and recruited us, we would already be disciples of a second-rate academy. I, this fatty, don't have any other merits, but I can still distinguish between gratitude and grudges. Moreover, just like Pavilion Master said, being specially recruited by the Pavilion Master is also a kind of fate. So, Pavilion Master, you don't have to worry. No matter what kind of temptation, the 2 of us will become disciples of the true martial pavilion. Chen Hao seemed to not even hesitate as he directly patted his chest and spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. Good. I didn't expect a little fatty like you to be so straightforward. You are very kind. Xianxia, what about you? The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion comforted him, but when he saw Chen Xi's expression, he asked again. Pavilion master, I naturally listen to the fatty, but, Pavilion master, you know my secret. Can my treatment? You can rest assured. After the allocation in the Great Transformation Hall is completed, the old man will report your situation to the dean. The basic treatment is definitely the best in the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. The pavilion master of the true martial pavilion said with great certainty. Xian had the 9 lives profound technique. In his view, she had obtained the complete 9 lives inheritance of the Star River King. Based on this alone, as long as he reported it to the dean, Xian's treatment would be doubled. After all, she was a character who could join the Shao clan in the future. Secondly, Xian, who had the 9 lives profound technique, would become very strong after integration in the future. She also had the basic requirement of the Jade Maiden Palace to recruit disciples, immortal bloodline. In addition, Xian's appearance and figure were naturally up to standard. Although her talent and potential looked poor now, in his view, it was definitely the temporary influence of the 9 lives profound technique. Otherwise, how could she be qualified to obtain the 9 lives inheritance of the Star River King? What the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion did not know was that Xian had nothing to do with the Star River King's inheritance, and it was impossible for her to join the Shao clan. He had only obtained half of the cultivation method by chance. What he did not know was that all cultivators who had obtained the complete 9 lives inheritance of the Star River King would choose to go to the Shao clan directly. Whether he was interested in the Star River King or the Shao clan before, he would become interested. Of course, it was not only the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion who did not know this. To be exact, no one in the entire the great world of Xiandi knew. Even if someone found a clue, they would not doubt the number 1 person in the great world of Xiandi. In that case, many thanks to the pavilion master. Xian smiled, showing a trace of pride intentionally or unintentionally, and glanced at Chen Hao. The fat man shrugged indifferently and said, Pavilion master, do you want to sign the agreement now? It would be good to sign it. But let's sign it later in the Great Hall. You can also listen to the conditions of the other party. For you, for them, and for the old man, it can be regarded as fair and just, lest they suspect that the old man has given you some bewitching potion. To put it bluntly, the only advantage of the old man is to let you feel the true martial great Tao first. Well, you can walk around the secret realm of the old man. The mysteries of the true martial great Tao are contained in it. Although it has not been activated, you can more or less feel its subtleties. When the time comes, Lin Hai will send you to the Great Hall. As soon as the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion finished speaking, the surrounding space fluctuated, and Chen Hao and Xian appeared in the so-called secret realm of the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion. For Chen Hao and Xian, it was definitely the strongest immortal realm they had ever seen. Chapter 1226. Ao Qian, Ling Feng, the Bloodbath Squad, Xue Fian, Wan Yishui, and the others were all present. Obviously, they had finished their discussion earlier than Chen Hao and Xian. Moreover, their eyes were shining brightly, and they were comprehending by themselves in this small secret realm. They didn't even notice Chen Hao and Xian's arrival, and all of them seemed to be immersed in a subtle state of comprehension. The secret realm of the true martial great path. It's only 1,000 miles wide, but the law of Tao Mark and the spiritual qi of heaven and earth are extraordinary. Xian? No way? Chen Hao exclaimed as he sensed the mysterious aura and thick spiritual qi of heaven and earth in the secret realm. However, before he could finish his sentence, Xian, who was next to him, had turned into the same state as Ao Qian and the others. She began to walk forward slowly and immersed herself in a certain state. To put it bluntly, it was as if she had lost her soul. So amazing? Chen Hao glanced at the nearby others, and he was even more surprised in his heart. However, a wisp of complacency appeared on his chubby face right after that, and he said, "Looks like I've already far surpassed those at the same cultivation realm." With the experience of refining and absorbing the divine sense of a true immortal king, the influence of the pressure emanated from the profound and fundamental aura of this sort of cultivation realm is completely negligible to me. When the pressure of the Tao mark was not activated, it only existed in the realm where the Tao mark produced the pressure and the mystery it contained. For cultivators whose realm, temperament, and comprehension of the law of heaven were lower than the Tao mark, these 2 points could easily make them fall into the pressure without them realizing it. However, if there was no energy to activate it, the strength of the pressure would not cause heavy pressure on the cultivator's body and soul. They would only immerse themselves in comprehending it and would not be harmed. However, Chen Hao's experience in the second level of the ancient chaos primitive realm had allowed his state of mind and comprehension of the law of heaven and earth to reach a level that far exceeded his cultivation realm. After all, he had refined the divine sense of a true immortal king. Even though countless years had passed, and the divine sense couldn't be compared to a true immortal king, the comprehension of the divine sense was that of a true immortal king. There should be about 100 times stronger space-time laws here. Otherwise, I have to report to the Great Hall in 2 to 4 hours. What can I comprehend in such a short time? Chen Hao thought to himself. Since we've decided to stay in the true martial pavilion, let's not waste time. This is the secret realm of the true martial great path. It's impossible to enter it at ordinary times. After a short moment, Chen Hao heaved a long sigh of relief, and his entire body directly entered into a clear and agile state. Just like everyone else, he naturally entered into the subtle state of the true martial grand Tao. It was just as Chen Hao had guessed, but it was even higher. The true martial great Tao mystic realm contained 365 times the laws of time. Inside the secret realm of the martial was in the secret realm. It was a little over a month in the secret realm, the great inside the secret realm. There, the secret martial, the pavilion, and the great hall masters, the martial hall, and the AO, the martial, and the Yu and the Yi had. Not long after, everyone moved forward slowly with resplendent gazes, held their breaths, and fell into deep thought. Sometimes, they sat down cross-legged to comprehend. Including Chen Hao, their bodies and minds were completely immersed in the true martial grand Tao, and they'd forgotten the time. Outside the secret realm, the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion and Tan Linhai stared at the clear image in front of them. It was the scene of the secret realm. Pavilion master, isn't this little fatty too monstrous? At first, we thought that we had picked up a moldable talent. Later, when he defeated Wan Yishui, we thought that we had picked up a true genius. But when his assessment results came out, especially his potential value and combat strength value, this old man thought that we had picked up a monstrous genius. But when I saw him, this old man suddenly felt that this little fatty was not someone that our University of Huayang could keep. At most, he would only be able to stay for 1,000 years. Ah? Pavilion Master? Don't be surprised. Although he has just arrived at the great world of Xiandi, his state of mind and comprehension of the law of heaven have long surpassed his own realm. Moreover, it has surpassed his realm by a lot. Also, he doesn't lack unique skills at all. The martial great path may not be much to him. More importantly, with his comprehension ability, especially after he has comprehended his own Tao, I'm afraid no one can be his teacher for a long time. The pavilion master suddenly said in surprise. No way? Tan Linhai's eyes widened. This is too fast. In the image, Chen Hao, who had turned into a fatty, closed his eyes, punched, kicked, and twisted. His posture was extremely strange. At first glance, every move was full of flaws, and so was the law of divine powers contained in it. However, if one looked at it more carefully, one would find that when the moves were linked together, all the flaws were eliminated. The law of divine powers contained in it was even more miraculously superimposed with each move. When Chen Hao began to spontaneously perform these strange moves, Wan Yishui also began to perform almost the same actions almost at the same time. The profound meaning of the martial great path secret realm was to make the cultivator involuntarily sink into it and comprehend it wholeheartedly. Then, they would enter the state of thoughtless tranquility and move spontaneously. In a sense, it was similar to the Great Spirit Dance and the self-generated skill described in Qigong on Earth as lively in stillness. Under normal circumstances, this kind of self-generated skill phenomenon would only appear after a period of cultivation and comprehension. It was normal for Wan Yishui, a senior, to be able to enter this kind of self-generated skill state in such a short time. However, it was the fatty's first time. How could Tan Linhai not be shocked when he did it after entering for a short while? Less than 3 minutes outside is about a day inside. It's 4 times faster than the old man. The old man's record that has been held for tens of millions of years was broken by this little fatty just like that? Yishui came here several times before she was the same as him. Shuefian. This. Tan Linhai's eyes widened as he looked at the pavilion master beside him. He was extremely shocked and emotional. Who are these people? The results of the assessment of the monstrous geniuses were indeed very, very terrifying. However, this was the first time they had come into contact with the profound meaning of the martial great path. It was too shocking. Especially, it seemed like even the pavilion master was shocked. Ao Qian also entered. In less than half a minute, Ao Qian entered again after Ling Feng and Shuefian. They really are 4 monstrous geniuses. Within 100 years, the 4 of them will definitely take 4 of the top 10 spots. The pavilion master of the martial pavilion had no choice but to admit it. The rest should be slower. There's definitely no hope this time, right? Tan Linhai said. Not necessarily, pavilion master. Although the rest are not bad, they are relatively weaker. Could it be that there's someone else with high comprehension? Chapter 12:27. Qin Si. Qin Si? Qin Si can become the little fatty's Tao companion. Do you think it's just because of her appearance? There's no harm in telling you, after all, both of them were recommended by you. Qin Si has the complete inheritance of the 9 lives profound technique. Tan Linhai was surprised again. This was not because Tan Linhai was not calm, but because he thought that he already knew Chen Hao and others very well, but now he found that it was not the case at all. Many of their trump cards were simply unimaginable. How could Tan Linhai not know about the 9 lives profound technique? The number 1 person in the great world of Xiandi, the inheritance left behind by the Star River King. Anyone who obtains the complete inheritance of the 9 lives profound technique has the qualifications to become a disciple of the Shao family. This was the glory that countless cultivators dreamed of. How can her aptitude be bad if she can obtain the inheritance of the Star River King's 9 lives profound technique? Her aura of life and youthful appearance were obviously not caused by any spirit medicine. Instead, she had given up on the cultivation conditions such as spirit pills and miraculous medicines, and cultivated step by step without any shortcuts. Although this kind of loss did not make up for the gains, this kind of tenacity and determination was something that ordinary people could not hope to achieve. And now, because the 9 lives profound technique has not been completed, and the fusion of 1 life has not really integrated, causing her to be unable to exert her true strength. I can feel that her comprehension of the 9 lives profound technique has improved a lot, and it's only a matter of time. Oh! Tan Linhai did not know what to say. In addition, Qin Si has another talent, the immortal bloodline. What? Looking at Tan Linhai's shock, the pavilion master of the true martial pavilion smiled and said, although her immortal bloodline is not pure, for her own conditions, it means that she once again gets a ticket to enter the Jade Maiden Palace. The Star River King Shao family and the Jade Maiden Palace are the 2 strongest forces in the great world of Xiandi. Even if her future is not as good as the little fatty, I'm afraid it won't be much worse. You just need to know about this. Understood, Pavilion Master. We have picked up a treasure. Yes, this time your contribution is not small. In addition, inform Du Minghui that in a few days, the old man will go to the true martial city. Yes, thank you, Pavilion Master. Tan Linhai immediately cupped his fists and said respectfully. He looked a little excited. Du Minghui was his good friend and the enforcer of True Martial City who had recommended the little fatty to him. Now that the pavilion master said that he was going to True Martial City to notify Du Minghui, he was naturally recommending Du Minghui to the upper echelons of True Martial City. This was undoubtedly a good thing for Du Minghui, and it was also a way to thank Du Minghui for his recommendation. Every place, every world, had its own hierarchy and hierarchy. At the same time, he could not completely get rid of the ways of the world. In less than a minute, just as the pavilion master of the True Martial Pavilion had predicted, Xian had also entered the state of spontaneity. Similarly, she had broken the pavilion master of the True Martial Pavilion's own result. Disregarding Wan Yishui, this senior student, of the 10 new students who came, 5 of them had broken the pavilion master's record. It also made Tan Linhai understand that the pavilion master was not lying when he said that the great era was coming. Awesome! It feels so good. Too bad the time is too short. Is this the true martial great Tao? It's indeed extraordinary. Interesting. In the state of thoughtlessness, one's heart and Tao are united, and one moves spontaneously. This is Zhenwu. It feels so good. The heavens and earth are me, and I am the heavens and earth. It seems like this is the feeling. The stimulation of one's potential and the control of one's subconscious. It's so awesome, Ao Qian, Ling Feng, Xuefian, Xixian, and Chenhao all exclaimed in their hearts. Everyone had a look of longing on their faces. Unfortunately, time was up and they were all pulled out by Tan Linhai. On the other hand, Su Tao, In Su Su, and the others from the Carnage Battle team did not feel as deeply as the 5 of them. Although their talents were not bad, it was their first time in the secret realm, and they did not trigger the state of spontaneity in the end. However, he could still clearly feel the soul-stirring, mysterious pressure of the true martial great Tao. It feels good, right? As long as you join the True Martial Pavilion, there will be many more opportunities to enter the secret realm in the future. I really hope that all of you can join the True Martial Pavilion. When you make your choice later, you must carefully consider the True Martial Pavilion. Tan Linhai led the group to the Great Hall quickly. At the same time, he looked at everyone's longing expressions and fanned them. Of course. Teacher Tan, don't worry. No matter what they do, I will definitely consider it. Ling Feng smiled and said, I don't care. I, Ao Qian, will choose whichever brother Fatty chooses. Although we are slightly inferior, we also have the right to choose. However, we will still be together with Brother Fatty and Brother Monkey. The Carnage Battle team is destined to be famous in the future. Naturally, we will not be separated. The leader of the Carnage Battle team, Su Tao, said calmly. Previously, when Fatty had a conflict with Murong Qianhua, he had been a little troubled. However, now that he had followed them, he had forgotten about Murong Qianhua. Many times in one's life, one had to face choices that could affect one's life. If one made the right choice, one would have a meteoric rise. If one made the wrong choice, it could mean complete silence. In the end, no one could predict in advance. However, once one made the choice, there was no need to worry. In the end, Su Tao and the others still chose Fatty and Monkey. Am I that good? Fatty stared at Ao Qian and the people from the Carnage Battle team with a smug smile on his fat face. Ling Feng glanced at Ao Qian and the people from the Carnage Battle team, then looked at the smug Fatty. He snorted and said, Fatty, don't tell me that you have already decided? Xuefian was like a mummy. As usual, she did not say anything. However, when she heard Ling Feng's words, her ears twitched unnoticeably. Obviously, she was very concerned about Fatty's decision. Who exactly was the fated person? Xuefian was still not completely sure. However, she was certain that it was definitely one of Fatty Li Yuan, Ling Feng, and Ao Qian. After all, there were only 3 people in this batch who were qualified for her to stop. Because of this, when Fatty, Ao Qian, and Ling Feng wanted to follow Tan Linhai to the True Martial Pavilion to meet the Pavilion Master, she also took the initiative to follow. Moreover, she had already made the decision to follow to the end. This was because she could see that Fatty and Ao Qian were definitely together. Although Ling Feng, who loved to show off, did not say anything. He was obviously a person who shared the same rotten tastes as Fatty and Ao Qian. Moreover, he was a person who loved to join in the fun. It was basically certain that wherever Fatty chose, they would follow. Chi. Streams of light entered the large hall. This year's cultivators from the Daluo Golden Wonderland and the Grand Mist Supremacy Realm arrived one after another. Buzz. Well, they're stronger. Who's this? Who knows? Let's wait and see. It shouldn't be. I have seen the images of the Dean, Deputy Dean, and the Pavilion Masters and Deputy Pavilion Masters of the 10 Great Pavilions. Why can't I recognize any of these old seniors? Chapter 12:28. He had something to do today, so he didn't write it. He took a day off. Until today, Wuxian had quit smoking for exactly 2 months. The most difficult period of time, it was finally over. He sat in front of the computer. Although he still had some thoughts, he no longer felt restless and uneasy. In the past 2 months, excluding the 10-odd days when he went back to his hometown for the Chinese New Year, Wuxian either went to the gym or walked through the streets and alleys. He either took his daughter out to play or made tea, listened to music, ate dried fruits, and so on to distract himself from the pain of smoking. Every day, he would forcefully hold back for 2 to 3 hours to write. Fortunately, the feeling of holding back was getting fainter and fainter. It had to be said that quitting smoking was really a painful thing. He had quit countless times. 99% of the time, he would tell himself that he would quit after he finished smoking that pack of cigarettes when he still had one. In the end, 10 minutes after he finished smoking that pack of cigarettes, he would run out to buy cigarettes. The reason was very simple. Without cigarettes, he couldn't write. If he couldn't work, how could he support his family? Fortunately, this time, Wuxian had steeled his heart. He would rather not write any more than quit smoking. It had been 2 months. It should be considered a success, right? It had been 2 months. It was a good thing that he had more hair. It was as if his throat was stuffed with chicken feathers. It was no longer painful. It was a good thing. The only thing that was a pain in the ass was that his stomach had grown a little bigger. He had been very careful with his exercise and diet, but he still couldn't stop it. It had grown by 5 kilograms. That was the basic situation. He reported it to everyone. Smoking tortured me, and I tortured you all. Scolding, cursing, insulting, leaving, and so on were all within his expectations. Wuxian accepted all of it and bowed to apologize. Brothers and sisters who didn't leave and continued to write, thank you for your hard work. From tomorrow onwards, I will try to write 2 chapters. Bow to apologize. I have to go home quickly. I'm in Kunming, you know. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.